Chapter 111. The blood-red aquatic python's huge body shuttles back and forth at the bottom of the sea, causing the seawater to surge violently. Its red eyes are filled with coldness as it stares straight at Chinyu, who is running extremely fast in front of it. The distance between them is getting shorter and shorter. This python is even faster than Sangamo. Chinyu turns around to take a look. The coldness in his eyes condenses, and he clenches his teeth. Chinyu unexpectedly stops completely in an instant. The blood-red aquatic python seems to have not expected that Chinyu would stop so suddenly, but it reacts very quickly and stops before crashing into Chinyu. It stares at Chinyu with its red eyes, then with a shake of its body, it turns back into its human form. Sangamo, I've already found him. Just wait and prepare that thunder hammer. Haha. Chago complacently sends a message to Sangamo through his transmitter. At the moment, Chago is very confident. Judging from Chinyu's aura, he is only at the middle stage of Jin Dan. Such a Xiuxianist is definitely no match for him, even if he has a high-grade holy weapon. Vice Master, then I'll be waiting for your good news. A faint sneer appears on the corners of Chago's mouth as he stares at Chinyu in front of him. Hello, Xiuxianist. Chago mockingly greets Chinyu. Chago has never been afraid of anyone in the Red Blood Cave's domain. Now that Chinyu is slower than him, Chago really feels like a cat playing with a mouse. Chinyu knows very well that this Xiuxianist in front of him has been hunting him down since he said, "I've been looking for you for a long time." Perhaps this Xiuxianist is also here for Sangmo's reward. Xiuxianist, I can see that your power is no weaker than Sangmo's. You're such a person. Don't tell me that you've come to hunt me down for a middle-grade holy weapon of Sangmo's? Or are you doing this for a favor from him? Chinyu looks at Chago calmly. For the moment, Chinyu has no intention of running away. After all, after experiencing the pain of Lu Xing's escape once, Chinyu won't easily try it again. Haha, Sangamo? You mean Sangamo, that idiot? Chago laughs out loud, but his laughter is filled with arrogance. A middle-grade spirit weapon? What is it? How can it make me chase after you? Chago is very disdainful of a middle-grade spirit weapon. Oh, looks like you've come for a favor from Sangamo, Chinyu says smilingly. Chago says with a shake of his head. A favor? No. Chago stares at Chinyu with a hint of a smile in his eyes. Given Sangmo's power and status, he's useless to me. If I want to, I can directly order him to do something for me. Why would I need his favor? Chinyu is startled. The person in front of him can unexpectedly order Sangamo around. Chinyu originally thought that Chago was at most a figure on the same level as Sangamo, but now it seems that he still underestimated this person. Then why are you hunting me down? Chinyu is very calm. Oh, cute Xiuxianist, looks like you still don't know that in order to hunt you down, Sangamo has already raised the bounty. Chago says with a smile. However, I'm hunting you down not only for the high-grade holy weapon that Sangamo put on the bounty, but also for the high-grade holy weapon on your body. The high-grade holy weapon on my body? Chinyu looks at Chago, his expression frozen for a moment. Haha, don't deny it. The flying sword you used just now is definitely a high-grade holy weapon. Otherwise, how could your speed be so fast? A mid-stage Jin Dan Xiuxianist can be so fast. To be honest, I think that even a high-grade holy weapon can't make you so fast. Ah, don't tell me that your flying sword is a top-grade holy weapon. Chago's eyes suddenly become blazing. Although he can't believe that a Jin Dan Xiuxianist has a top-grade flying sword, Chinyu's speed just now has really surprised Chago. In the sea, blood-red aquatic pythons are very fast. Even though he is in the early stage of yuanying, and has used his true form, he is only a little bit faster than Chinyu. Maybe it really is a top-grade flying sword? A top-grade holy weapon? How about this? I'll give you this flying sword, and you'll pretend that you've never seen me. Chinyu's heart is moved, but he says this with a smile. At the same time, the flaming sword appears in his hand, and he controls it to float up. Chago is startled. Rolling his eyes, he says with a chuckle, "Actually, I just want a holy weapon. Since you're so tactful, I won't bother to take the trouble and take this flying sword." Saying this, Chago moves his body and grabs the flying sword. This stupid boy. I'll take his flying sword first, and directly refine it. Then I'll kill this stupid boy. If the opponent has a high-grade holy weapon, Chago will still feel that it will be a bit troublesome to kill him. Since the opponent has given him a weapon, he is naturally happy to take it. In Chago's view, the opponent's power is only at the middle stage of Jin Dan Xiuxianist, and his soul is not much stronger. It will only take a while to forcibly refine the opponent's flying sword. Suddenly, in a flash, the power of stars rushes out of Qin Yu's body and forms a huge nebula-like whirlpool. Qin Yu's eyes flash with a cold light. The nebula in his body also starts to rotate extremely fast, and the power of stars completely surges out. Star field. You actually. Seeing this scene, Chago knows that the opponent is about to attack, so he is not stupid enough to take the flying sword. After all, the opponent can easily control the flying sword to attack. Idiot. In a flash, Qin Yu divides himself into several phantoms. However, for some unknown reason, Qin Yu does not use the flaming gloves. The several phantoms of Qin Yu surround Chago. Almost at the same time, the phantoms continuously attack Chago's body. Some are iron fists, some are sword fingers, and some are palm blades. Haha. Chago looks up to the sky and laughs loudly. The demonic elemental energy in his body surges violently, unexpectedly shaking off all of Qin Yu's attacks. Qin Yu clenches his teeth. In an instant, he unexpectedly turns into 6 illusions. The 6 illusions twist their waists at the same time. Their entire bodies spin violently. At the same time, their right legs start to spin like a windmill. Afterwards, they ruthlessly kick Chaji's neck. Bang! After completely hitting Chago's neck, the 6 phantoms disappear. In the end, only Qin Yu remains. Qin Yu is kicking Chago's neck. In terms of resistance, we blood-red aquatic pythons aren't weaker than ordinary divine beasts. Chago says to Qin Yu. A layer of scales has unexpectedly appeared on Chago's neck. Qin Yu's close-range attacks unexpectedly have no effect. Qin Yu does a somersault backwards and retreats far away. Close-range attacks are more effective against humans, whose bodies are relatively weak, but not against Ziyuists because many Ziyuists' true bodies have very powerful bodies. For example, blood-red aquatic pythons, flood dragons, horned dragons, and so on. You're really good at resisting attacks. Qin Yu exclaims in admiration. Hearing Qin Yu's praise, Chago becomes even prouder. But he still says, even though you're a Xiuxianist, your body is really very strong. In fact, your last attack just now forced me to use my protective scales. Qin Yu exclaims in admiration. My attack didn't break your defense, and you didn't even use your true body. You're indeed much more formidable than Xiuxianists at the same level as us. But I won't admit defeat. If it weren't for the high-grade holy weapon, I really wouldn't have killed you. While saying that, Chago's body moves as fast as lightning. 2 daggers appear in his hands, and he thrusts them directly at Qin Yu. The edges of the daggers are even glowing with a cold blue light. They are highly poisonous. Die. Qin Yu says silently in his mind. The nebula around his body starts to rotate extremely fast again, as he uses the astral field again. Just like the move he used just now, Qin Yu controls the flaming sword to block the daggers, and punches Chago with both hands. A faint smile appears on Chago's face uncontrollably. After witnessing Qin Yu's attack just now, Chago already knows that Qin Yu's attack power is not strong enough to injure him. To be safe, Chago still covers his body with a layer of protective scales, which are made of python scales. Of course, its defense is not as amazing as when he used his true body, but it is still very high at the moment. Qin Yu clenches his teeth so hard that blood spurts out. His eyes suddenly emit a cold light. While punching, his knuckles suddenly bulge out, forming a finger punch with the strongest penetrating power. At the same time, the flaming gloves appear. Puff! Puff! The strong penetrating power, combined with the high-grade holy weapon, the flaming gloves, is simply unstoppable. Qin Yu's fists directly break through the scales and continue to stab into the python's body, intending to smash the python's internal organs and take his life. However, roar! The moment his fists pierce through the scales, Chago's body unexpectedly turns into a 70 to 80 m long scarlet python in the blink of an eye. The python coils around Chinyu, intending to strangle Chinyu to death. "Cunning Zyuxionist, I'm going to eat you." Chago's angry voice resounds in Chinyu's mind. Chago is really angry. He has already been tricked twice by Chinyu. The first time, Chinyu talked to him first, but halfway through, Chinyu escaped in advance. The second time, Chinyu didn't use the flaming gloves at the beginning of the attack, which made Chago miscalculate the opponent's strength. When Chinyu attacked the second time, Chago didn't pay any attention to him, but he paid a great price. Chinyu's body flashed like lightning, and he escaped from the python's body. He immediately said through his holy sense, "Python, you were lucky just now that I didn't kill you in one blow. But, even though I didn't pierce your heart, it was still shaken by my penetrating power. You must have been seriously injured." Chago was of course injured and seriously injured, because Chago judged Chinyu's strength from his first close-range attack, and thought that Chinyu's scales were more than enough to protect his body, and that even his protective demonic elemental energy had not been completely formed yet. Chinyu's second finger punch attack, relying on the high-grade holy weapon, the flaming gloves, directly broke through the scales. Moreover, the penetrating power of the finger punch didn't require the full-body attack. Chinyu's finger punch even penetrated Chago's skin and flesh, injuring his heart. "Ah! I'm so angry." The blood-red aquatic python's body swings non-stop, completely stirring up the water around it. However, it unexpectedly spurts out a mouthful of blood from its mouth. The heart is a vital part of the body, so even though this blood-red aquatic python was only shaken by Chinyu's penetrating power, it was still seriously injured. Chinyu makes a gesture with his hands. With a solemn expression, he immediately shouts loudly, "Illusion spreading sword art starry sky." Chinyu's flaming sword flies upwards. In the blink of an eye, it turns into a hazy area. Countless sword silhouettes shoot out from the hazy area and shoot directly at the blood-red aquatic python. Seeing this scene, a faint smile appears on Chinyu's face. Zyuxionists, Zuyuoists and Zyumoists all have their own specialties. Zyuxionists' various sword arts are really outstanding. As for Zyumoists, many of their strange holy weapons are also very powerful. Chinyu has quite a few secret books on Zyuxionists, so naturally he has learned some sword arts. The illusion-spreading sword art is one of the sword arts Chinyu focuses on. Growl. The blood-red aquatic python utters a deep growl, then stares at Chinyu with its huge head. Its red eyes emit a visible red light. With a movement of its head, it turns into a blur and arrives in front of Chinyu in the blink of an eye. In terms of speed, the python's head was even faster than its body. Chi 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 chi. Various sword silhouettes hit the blood-red aquatic python's body. Only a few bloodstains have appeared on its scales, but it is not seriously injured. The blood-red aquatic python simply ignores Chinyu's attacks. It opens its ferocious mouth and bites at Chinyu. A fishy smell wafts over. Chinyu makes a gesture with his hands. The flaming sword falls from the sky and directly stabs at the blood-red aquatic python extremely fast. Chinyu himself, however, moves his body along with the flow of water and easily avoids the blood-red aquatic python's bite. Pa! A red blur appears. However, Chinyu vomits blood and is sent flying away. Damn it, this python's tail is even faster than its head. Chinyu vomits a mouthful of blood. He feels that his internal organs have all been damaged. Just now, he only saw a red blur before the tail hit him. It is 2 or 3 times faster than the python's head. This is too terrifying. At this moment, the flaming sword has also arrived. It directly stabs at the python's head. Growl! The python suddenly raises its head and unexpectedly bites at Chinyu's flaming sword without the slightest fear. A hint of ruthlessness appears in Chinyu's eyes. He controls the flaming sword with his mind and stabs it directly at the python's open mouth. "If you bite me, I'll pierce your throat." Chinyu is ruthless. Whiz! A yellow light is shot out from the python's mouth and directly hits the flaming sword. Chinyu then finds that the flying sword has become much heavier, and its speed has decreased a lot, as if it is out of control. Only now does Chinyu see clearly. Some yellow liquid is attached to the flaming sword, and at the same time, it is emitting a yellow mist. Chapter 112. Looking at the flying sword that has been attached to the poisonous liquid, Jinyu gives the flaming sword a thought. Flames suddenly appear on the surface of the flaming sword. Being burned by the flames, the poisonous liquid makes sizzling noises. Jinyu feels clearly that he can control the flaming sword easily. Growl! The python's huge mouth is about to bite down when the flaming sword flies extremely fast towards Jinyu. Jinyu grabs it. After being bitten by the yellow liquid just now, Jinyu doesn't dare to let the flaming sword be bitten by this python. Who knows what tricks this python has up its sleeves? After all, since it dares to bite, it must have a way to deal with the flying sword. Haha, it's indeed a good flying sword. I'll eat you first, then take your flying sword. Shigon's voice rises in Jinyu's mind through holy sense communication. At the same time, the huge python's body starts to move extremely fast, turning into a red blur. Unfolding the star field, Jinyu moves extremely fast. This guy's speed is too fast, especially his head and tail. Jinyu has a headache. He can unfold the star field to dodge, but it consumes too much energy. Jinyu can't keep this state forever. Jinyu immediately rushes to the python's abdomen. Forming a claw with one hand, Jinyu directly pierces through the scales on the python's abdomen. The power of the flaming gloves is beyond doubt. The python roars in pain. Yellow mucus and ice-cold fangs are clearly visible in its mouth. Pa! A red blur shoots over. Jinyu is about to move, but he is already hit. It hits Jinyu's chest heavily, causing a series of bone-breaking sounds. Two of Jinyu's sternum should be broken. At the same time, his internal organs are violently shaken. Blood spurts out from Jinyu's mouth. If it goes on like this, I'll definitely be killed by this python. Even if I use the Lu Xing escape, it'll take me a long time to recover. I might as well fight it. When Jinyu was chased by the blood-red aquatic python, he came up with a plan. That was a plan that would only be used when there was no other choice. At this moment, Jinyu had already decided to use this plan. Bastard. Jinyu's hand pierces through the blood-red aquatic python's scales like a claw. The blood-red aquatic python immediately utters a loud roar in pain and swings its tail at Jinyu again. However, almost at the same time when Jinyu's hand pierces through the python's scales, he turns his body over and directly hits the python's neck. The python's tail lashed out at the spot where Jinyu had pierced the wound. Roar! When the python realized that Jinyu had actually reached its neck, it immediately turned its head in anger. The python opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Jinyu. In Shigon's mind, Jinyu would definitely try to avoid it. After all, if he was bitten, his body would definitely be finished. Naturally, Jinyu would die. However, I'll trade a life for a life. Jinyu suddenly shouted loudly. Holding the flaming sword in his hand, he completely infused it with his star power and his powerful muscles. Jinyu clenched his teeth and fiercely pierced the python's head with his sword. Let's see if you can still live after your head is cut off. Jinyu's cold voice was transmitted to Shigon's mind. The blood-red aquatic python has already opened its bloody mouth, and its fangs are clearly visible. It looks like it is about to bite down. However, Jinyu's holy sense communication stupefies it for a moment. Wouldn't it be the same if its head was cut off? How could that be? The soul was hidden in the brain. Once its head was cut off, it would definitely die. Shigon never wanted to die. Even though he went crazy just now, he never thought that he would die. After all, he was the deputy master of the Red Blood Cave. Perishing together with the Zyuxianist? However, he suddenly felt a sharp pain. While he was in a daze, Jinyu's flaming sword had already pierced his neck. Then, Jinyu fiercely slashed the sword across his neck. Shigon, as if he had gone mad before dying, suddenly bit down at Jinyu. The python's head rolled down. Shigon stared at Jinyu with his cold red eyes, full of disbelief. Was he really killed? Even though his head was cut off, he still had several seconds of consciousness. Puff! Blood gushed out from the severed neck. The headless python's huge body was still wriggling and shaking. However, the blood-red aquatic python Chaji's head has already bitten through Jinyu's body. His abdomen has been pierced through by the two poisonous fangs. There is a terrifyingly large hole in his abdomen. Even his spleen has been completely shattered. His liver has also been fatally damaged. Seeing the disbelief in Shagon's red eyes, Qin Yu revealed a faint smile on the corners of his mouth. Feeling waves of dizziness, Qin Yu hurriedly waved his hand and put the huge blood-red python's corpse and head into his interspatial ring. It was very important to destroy the corpse and erase all traces. Qin Yu knew very well that even with Lu Xing's continuous support, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Break! Qin Yu directly penetrated under a coral. However, his control over his body was getting weaker and weaker. It's up to you now. Lu Xing's in tears. Afterwards, Qin Yu completely lost control over his body. The suction force between heaven and earth was attracting Qin Yu's soul. Qin Yu's soul was about to fly away, as if it wanted to leave his body. At this moment, Qin Yu wasn't disappointed. A familiar warm current enveloped Qin Yu's soul. Qin Yu couldn't feel the suction force anymore. Feeling this warm current, Qin Yu no longer thought about it. Quietly, Qin Yu's body started to slowly recover. At this moment, a woman was floating through the seabed. She was dressed in a blue gown and holding a zither in her arms. Her jet-black hair was casually tied up with a blue ribbon, which flowed down to her waist. A white belt was wrapped around her waist, which made her slender waist look even more voluptuous. However, there was always a calm smile on her face. She wasn't riding a sword at all. She seemed to be moving very slowly, but in fact, she had the strange effect of shrinking the distance into an inch. In just a short while, she had already crossed several thousand li compared to Qin Yu. She was many times faster. The green-clothed woman's body suddenly stops. Her slender neck gracefully turns to look at the group of corals where Qin Yu is hiding. As if she can see through the corals, a hint of amazement appears on the green-clothed woman's face. She then gives a calm smile. She waved her sleeve, exposing her snow-white arm. At this moment, Qin Yu's body also disappeared into the coral reef. Afterwards, the woman continued to walk slowly with the zither in her arms. In an instant, she disappeared from her original place. In the blood-red cave, inside the blood-red cave, in a secret room, the master of the red blood cave, Shahon, was sitting with legs crossed on a hassock. Various streams of demonic elemental energy were shooting unceasingly at a black jade case floating in front of him. This black jade case was very simple and unadorned. On the surface of the case, there were two flamboyant characters, 9 swords. Shahon, the real leader of the area within a radius of 8 million li of the red blood cave. Compared to his 2 younger brothers, Shahon was much more powerful. Early Dongxi stage. This was Shahon's power. In the underwater world of Zuyoists, where Yuanying stage experts were already first-class experts, Dongxi stage experts were already considered super experts. It should be known that even the 9 purple demon aquatic dragons of the 9 spirits hall, one of the 3 underwater superpowers, were only at the Dongxi stage. Since obtaining this black jade case 100 years ago, Shahon has been extremely excited. Since then, Shahon has handed over the affairs of the red blood cave to his 2 younger brothers, while he himself often undergoes closed-door training. Every time he undergoes closed-door training, it will last for several years. This time, he has already been in closed-door training for 3 years. After letting out a sigh, Shahon stops pouring demonic elemental energy into the black jade case. After looking carefully at it, Shahon slightly nods and says, "Soon. I should be able to succeed in 3 years. I've already worked hard for 100 years, so 3 years doesn't matter to me." In order to open this black jade case, Shahon has been consuming the talisman's energy non-stop for the past 100 years in order to open it. A simple dust removal talisman is already so formidable. The power of the person who sealed it is really terrifying. Shahon's face is full of admiration. He's indeed an immortal. With such power, he can destroy me with just a wave of his hand. A dust removal talisman is a talisman of the lowest level even in the Xiuzhen world. Generally, it is used to prevent dust. How powerful can a talisman be? If it is a powerful talisman, it will fight back once it is attacked. However, This dust removal talisman only protects the object from being contaminated by dust and will not fight back. Luckily, it will not fight back. Otherwise, given Shahon's power, how could he possibly open this jade case? Even though it is just a simple dust removal talisman, Shahon had to rely on foolish old man to move a mountain and spend 100 years in closed-door training to consume some of the talisman's energy. After such a long time, the talisman's energy has almost been completely used up. Penglai Immortal Region, Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon, Blue Dragon Temple, Nine Spirits Hall, Blue River Province. Perhaps none of you can imagine that one of the 9 swords is in my hands. Humph, one day, the 3 superpowers of the underwater zooyoists will become 4 superpowers. Shahon's eyes glitter with shrewdness. Shahon has an ambition in his heart. His ambition relies on this black jade case. But I'm not powerful enough now. I have to reach the late Dongxi stage, at least to be qualified to talk to them. Now the most important thing is to be patient. I can't let them know that one of the jade cases is in my hands. Shahon recalls the process of obtaining this black jade case in the past. After thinking carefully again, Shahon is sure that he has already killed all the people who know about this case. None of them have escaped, so there will definitely be no problem. Shahon cannot be blamed for being careful. If the Blue Dragon Temple and the 9 Spirits Hall find out about this treasure, given his power, Shahon will simply not be able to stop them from snatching it away. If he is not powerful enough to obtain a treasure, that will be a disaster. Therefore, he must be patient. Bang! 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 All of a sudden, the stone door outside the private room makes continuous noises, as if someone is knocking heavily on the door. Shahon is furious. When he is doing closed-door training, he absolutely does not allow anyone to disturb him. Because he is consuming the energy of the talisman in this private room, Shahon naturally has a guilty conscience. Therefore, he is worried as soon as someone approaches the door. Who is it? Knocking on the door when I'm doing closed-door training. Are you courting death? Shahon's deep voice is transmitted out. Cave Master, something bad has happened. Vice Master is dead. With a movement of his body, Shahon disappears from the private room in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the black jade case also disappears. Outside the stone door, 3 guardians are standing respectfully with very anxious expressions on their faces. Kaka, the stone door opens. The Red Blood Cave's master, Shahon, walks out with a gloomy expression. He immediately shouts at the 3 guardians in front of him. Tell me who died. Tell me everything you know. The Silver Armor Protector steps forward and says, Cave Master, Vice Master Shagon and Vice Master Chap went out 3 months ago to pursue and kill an immortal practitioner. Vice Master Shagon is now dead. Pursue and kill an immortal practitioner? Although Shahon is furious about his little brother's death, he is still very clear-headed. If he wants to accomplish great things, he definitely won't let his head get hot. Cave Master. A while ago, Sang Emo Protector's son was killed by an immortal practitioner. Afterwards, Sang Emo Protector pursued and killed this immortal practitioner. However, Sang Emo Protector is truly incompetent. He actually couldn't catch him. It seems that the immortal practitioner killed quite a few of Sang Emo Protector's clansmen. Sang Emo has issued a bounty. The reward is that high-grade holy artifact, Thunder Hammer. The Silver Armor Protector explains everything. After hearing this, Shahon roughly understands what happened. His 3rd brother has always wanted to obtain a high-grade holy artifact. However, high-grade holy artifacts aren't something that can be obtained just because one wants them. Shahon once had an extra high-grade holy artifact, which he later gave to his 2nd brother Chap. This is because in Shahon's view, Chap's strength is very strong. Coupled with a high-grade holy artifact, it is a combination of the strong and the strong. His side can be considered to have an expert. However, if he were to give it to his 3rd brother, who is only at the early stage of yuanying, using a high-grade holy artifact would be a waste. Naturally, Shagon has always wanted to obtain a high-grade holy artifact. It isn't hard to imagine why Shagon would act this time. 3rd brother is dead, and he went with 2nd brother. Is that immortal practitioner very powerful? Shahon asks doubtfully. The Silver Armor Protector says, That immortal practitioner is very weak. He hasn't even reached the yuanying stage. The reason why Sang Imo wasn't able to kill him is because this immortal practitioner is too fast. As for why Vice Cave Master died, I don't understand at all. Shahon nods slightly. If that immortal practitioner was so powerful that he could kill even Shagon, then most likely Sang Imo would have been killed long ago. What about second brother? Didn't he go with third brother? With second brother there, how could third brother die? Shahon shouts. The silver armor protector shakes his head. I don't know. However, Vice Cave Master chap should be fine. That soul jade slip didn't shatter. As soon as I discovered that Vice Cave Master Shagon died, I hurriedly came to inform Cave Master. I didn't have time to ask Vice Cave Master chap. Shahon immediately takes out a transmitter. Second brother, third brother is dead. What are you doing? Chap, who is chasing after Xiaohei, is also very angry. Although his main body isn't slower than Xiaohei's, Xiaohei has transformed into a black light and directly passed through some narrow cracks. Chap's main body is too thick, so he can only force his way through. Of course his speed is slow. What? Third brother is dead? Chap is startled. What are you doing? I'm chasing after a black eagle. Get your ass back here right now. Full speed. Shahon's message contains extreme anger. Chap knows that his third brother is dead. Seeing his big brother so angry, he doesn't care about that annoying black eagle anymore. He hurriedly rushes back to the red blood cave as fast as he can. Chapter 113. After an unknown amount of time, Qinyu gradually felt the existence of his body. Qinyu moved his fingers. After only a short while, the feeling of being in complete control of his body came back again. Qinyu could not help having a slight smile on his face. When he opened his eyes, he saw a roof made of bamboo. This is not a coral mountain. Qinyu's face changes color greatly. He immediately gets up and sits up. His eyes flash. In an instant he looks all around. In an instant, he has grasped the situation around him. This was a very quiet bamboo house. There was no one in the house. Qinyu was originally hiding in the coral mountain. When he woke up, he found himself in a bamboo house. How could Qinyu not be shocked? Qinyu immediately used his spiritual sense to check his body, including his soul and dantian. Feeling that his body was not uncomfortable, Qinyu secretly sighed in relief. When he was in the state of Lu Xing's tear recovery, Qinyu was at the mercy of others. He did not have the slightest ability to resist. Now it seemed that the person who brought him here did not do any harm to him. Qinyu takes a look outside the bamboo house. To his surprise, he finds that there is an endless amount of seawater outside this bamboo house. Obviously there is a restrictive spell outside this bamboo house which blocks all of the seawater, so that this bamboo house is not affected at all. Qinyu expands his holy sense. The bamboo house had 3 rooms in front and 3 in the back. In the middle was a courtyard. There was no seawater in the bamboo house's courtyard. Outside the bamboo house was endless waves. At this moment, there was no one in the bamboo house's courtyard. Who is the owner of this place? Qinyu got out of bed and walked out of the room. The moment Qinyu got out of bed, Qinyu's spiritual sense sensed a person outside the bamboo house's courtyard. Qinyu immediately stepped out of the room. Chengwen. Seeing the man in front of him, Qinyu's first impression was that the man in front of him was Chengwen. His calm eyes seemed to be able to see through people's souls. The man in front of him looked like a 40-year-old mortal. Little brother, you're awake? The man said with a smile. Qinyu was vigilant. He did not know when he had been rescued. If he had been rescued right after he was injured, the other party must have known how serious his injuries were. His spleen was shattered. His liver was severely damaged, and there was a huge hole in his abdomen. He would definitely die. Now that he had come back to life, an ordinary person would definitely be surprised. My name is Lu Xing. Sir, I didn't know you. You're a human. Qinyu was shocked. Just now, when he swept with his spiritual sense, he found that the person in front of him did not have the slightest demonic aura. Moreover, Qinyu could not detect the cultivation of this person at all. According to what Qinyu knew, his spiritual sense could at least detect the early stage of yuanying. so the man in front of him was at least in the middle stage of yuanying. You can call me Uncle Lon. Yes, I am indeed a human. You can think of me as an immortal cultivator. Uncle Lon smiled calmly. Qingyu was very shocked in his heart. A immortal cultivator dared to go to the bottom of the sea, which meant that his life could be in danger at any time. Even a powerful person would not dare to stay at the bottom of the sea for a long time. After all, there were still many Zuyoists at the bottom of the sea. Uncle Lon, if you're a immortal cultivator, why are you at the bottom of the sea? Qingyu asked doubtfully. Qingyu, however, did not notice Uncle Lan's words just now. You can think of me as an immortal cultivator. If he was a real immortal cultivator, how could he possibly say that? However, at the moment, Qingyu was worried that his secret of Lu Xing's tears would be discovered, and he was also surprised that Uncle Lon was a human, so naturally he did not notice this flaw. I'm at the bottom of the sea because Li Er likes the environment here, so I brought her here. Uncle Lon explained smilingly, as if he had a good impression of Qingyu. Li Er. Qingyu's heart jumped. It's Li Er who saved you and brought you back. But she's gone out now. Come, have a taste of the tea I've prepared. Uncle Lon said enthusiastically. He then directly led Qingyu to the central courtyard, and the two of them sat face to face. Uncle Lon made 2 cups of tea. Qingyu and Uncle Lon then began to chat. Even though they are chatting very casually, Qingyu has always been worried at the bottom of his heart, whether his secret has been discovered or not. He is still alive even after suffering such serious injuries. If it were a normal Ziotionist, how could they not be surprised and curious? Uncle Lon. A clear and elegant voice rose. Qingyu turned his head to look. Long hair as black as ink and so bright that it could reflect a person's appearance poured down in torrents. Her eyes gave people a feeling of tranquility. Her skin was sparkling and translucent like jade. Her blue robe was very loose, and a white belt tied around her waist was somewhat thin. Her left hand held a bamboo basket with some Ganoderma grass inside. Lu Xing, this is Li Er. She was the one who saved you and brought you back. Uncle Lon said with a smile. Qingyu looked at Miss Li Er in front of him. Qingyu was originally the heir of the prince's mansion. The servant girls at home were generally all beauties. But Miss Li Er in front of him. To tell the truth, even though Miss Li Er's skin was sparkling and translucent like jade, and her temperament was elegant, her face could only be considered above average. Miss Li Er, thank you for saving my life. Qingyu slightly bowed and said. But at this moment, Qingyu's heart was very vigilant. He didn't know when Miss Li Er had saved him and brought him back. If by the time Miss Li Er had saved him, his injuries had mostly healed, and Li Er hadn't discovered his fatal injuries, then that would be fine. Mr. Lu Xing, there's no need to thank me. Although I brought you here, even if I didn't do anything, you would have been able to recover on your own. Miss Li Er's sparkling eyes looked at Qingyu. Those tranquil eyes of hers contained a rare hint of curiosity. Qingyu suddenly frowned. Qingyu discovered that under normal circumstances, Lu Xing's tears would only send out a small stream of heat to nourish the soul. But now, the stream of heat it sends out is 2 to 3 times as much as before. For some unknown reason to be exact, when Miss Li Er appeared, Qingyu's Lu Xing's tears sent out a larger stream of heat. Mr. Lu Xing and Uncle Lon can continue chatting here. I'm going back to my room. Miss Li Er gave him a slight nod, then walked towards the 3 rooms at the back of the bamboo house, and directly entered one of them. The 3 rooms at the front of this bamboo house belonged to Miss Li Er, and Uncle Lan's room was in the 3 rooms at the front. Qingyu now occupied one of them. Uncle Lon, Miss Li Er doesn't seem to be very powerful. How can you feel at ease letting her wander around the underwater world of Zuyoists by herself? Qingyu sipped his tea and said smilingly. Just now, with a sweep of his holy sense, he discovered that Miss Li Er was unexpectedly only at the early stage of Jean Dan's level of power. The early stage of Jean Dan's level, and moreover, she was a human Xiexionist. This level of power was really very dangerous in the underwater world of Zuyoists. Uncle Lon closed his eyes and enjoyed the taste of the tea. Then he said with a smile, Li Er has some special skills. Even though she can't defeat other Zuyoists, She'll have no problem protecting herself in the underwater world of zooists. Special skills? Chinyu made a mental note of this. When he saw Miss Lear just now, Chinyu had a bit of a good impression of her. Suddenly, a quiet and serene zither sound rises. It sounds like the tinkling of a spring or the flowing of a high mountain. It's very refreshing and tranquil. Chinyu unconsciously puts down his cup and carefully closes his eyes to feel the zither sound. On one side, Uncle Lon also does the same as Chinyu. The zither sound then rises again. It sounds like waves in the ocean, attacking him one after another. After a long time, the zither sound changes again. It sounds like a boundless forest with waves of pines. At last, along with the zither sound, Chinyu's whole body seems to have entered a snowy region. It's as if the whole sky and the whole earth are snowy white. The zither sound stops. Only after a long time does Chinyu come back to his senses. Chinyu opens his eyes. His heart is very tranquil. Ever since he rashly entered the underwater world of zooists, Chinyu has suffered a lot. He was chased by Sang Mo, and even had a big fight with the red blood python. All this time, Chinyu hasn't had any rest at all. At this moment, Chinyu's heart has calmed down, which is rare for him. Miss Lear's zither art is definitely at the level of a great master. Chinyu praises sincerely. Chinyu has also heard the performances of so-called formidable zither players in the princely mansion. However, compared with Miss Lear, Chinyu feels that they are simply on two different levels. A hint of confidence appears on Uncle Lan's face. He says, Lear's zither art is top-notch even in the clan. It's your destiny that you were able to hear her zither art. Just by listening to this song, Chinyu's state of mind seems to have been cleansed. The killings during this period of time have made Chinyu's state of mind cruel and fierce. But this song alone has made Chinyu's state of mind seem to have been sublimated. Miss Lear's skill in the zither also represents her mental state cultivation from a certain perspective. I feel that Miss Lear's state of mind cultivation seems to be very high. Chinyu says doubtfully, just the majesty of the zither sound alone, that fresh and quiet. It even makes Chinyu feel as if he is there. With such skill, how can her state of mind cultivation be low? But such a person is only at the early stage of Jin Dan? Uncle Lon smiles. Lear has no interest in cultivation. Although her talent is exceptional, if she wanted to cultivate, she would have surpassed me long ago. But she doesn't want to cultivate, so her cultivation is so low. Chinyu finally understands. Spiritual sense will not deceive people. Miss Lear is indeed only at the early stage of Jin Dan. Big Sister Lear. With a loud roar, an ape rushes in from outside. Chinyu only feels a golden flash, and a standing ape appears in front of him. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, Chinyu is shocked. The ape in front of him has actually reached the middle stage of yuanying. At this moment, Chinyu is convinced that his spiritual sense should be comparable to the middle stage of yuanying. While Chinyu is paying attention to the ape also glances at Chinyu. Kaka, this is the injured person that Big Sister Lear brought back. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Hofei. Kaka, my strength is higher than yours. At this point, the ape scratches its head and laughs. Uncle Lon suddenly shouts, Hairy monkey, be polite to the guest. Hearing this, the ape immediately restrains its arrogance and says, Sherzuan, there are very few experts in this valley. Although the person in front of me is not very strong, he can still fight with me. The other demonic beasts in the valley do not dare to fight with me. Chinyu is secretly alarmed. So this middle stage yuanying ape is unexpectedly Uncle Lan's disciple. Even his disciple has reached the middle stage of yuanying. How powerful is Uncle Lon actually? At least Chinyu cannot see through him, and cannot say exactly how powerful he is. You only know how to play all day. Be quiet. Uncle Lon shouts solemnly. Hofei immediately stands aside and says nothing. Uncle Lon looks smilingly at Chinyu and says, Lu Xing, don't be fooled by Hofei's playfulness. He's a divine beast, fiery-eyed water ape. Perhaps you won't be able to find a second one like him in the underwater Xiuyao world. Chinyu is secretly very shocked. A divine beast and a fiery-eyed water ape at that. Chinyu's secret book also talks about some divine beasts, But there is no such thing as a fiery-eyed water ape. But Chinyu doesn't doubt Uncle Lan's words at all. Kaka, I'm the one and only divine beast, but Master won't let me leave the valley. He says my power is too low. Humph humph. Ho Fei stands on one side and says with a groan. Chinyu's heart skips a beat. Not enough power? Divine beasts that have reached the middle stage of yuanying are not allowed to leave the valley? This Uncle Lan really has high requirements for his disciples. After all, divine beasts cannot be judged by their power levels. They are generally more than 10 times stronger than experts of the same level. A middle-stage yuanying divine beast is comparable to a Dongxu stage Zuyuist. In the courtyard of this bamboo house, Chinyu and Uncle Lan have been chatting for a long time. For some reason, Uncle Lan seems to be very interested in Chinyu. An expert like him doesn't feel like chatting with his disciple Ho Fei, but he has been chatting with Chinyu for most of the day. Ho Fei has also been forced by Uncle Lan to call Chinyu big brother. This is just like when Ho Fei was forced to call Miss Li or big sister. In Chinyu's house, Chinyu has told Uncle Lan not to let anyone enter his room, so that he can practice. Without saying anything, Uncle Lan directly sets up restrictive spells all around the house. Chinyu, however, is not affected at all. Compared to Ho Fei, I'm really very weak, let alone compared to Uncle Lan. Chinyu feels the gap between them, so he decides to refine the blood-red aquatic python's yuanying. Chinyu sends his holy sense into his interspatial ring. There is a huge blood-red aquatic python corpse in that huge space. Chinyu's heart jolts. A mass of misty purple light appears in Chinyu's palm. Inside the purple light is a yuanying. Its soul has disappeared. This yuanying looks like an energy crystal. Chinyu is sitting with legs crossed. That yuanying floats in front of him. Illusory stellar force gushes out, forming a nebula that looks like a vortex. At the same time, a stellar flame wraps around the yuanying. The yuanying starts to melt slowly. Its impurities are refined, and its energy starts to circulate along with the stellar force in the vortex. Chapter 114. After completely purifying the impurities, Chinyu finally absorbs the essence of life and reaches the early stage of yuanying. Moreover, it is the yuanying of a blood-red aquatic python, so its energy is much more than that of people of the same stage. In his dantian, the silvery granules are also very large. One after another, they form one circle after another, eventually forming a huge vortex. In the center of the vortex is a blue flame called the stellar true flame. As time goes by, the silvery granules also become bigger and bigger. Clack! Suddenly, a silvery granule splits into two. Immediately afterwards, all the silvery granules in Chinyu's body split one after another. In just a while, the number of silvery granules in Chinyu's body has doubled again. At this moment, the silvery granules in Chinyu's dantian are densely packed and form a dense vortex of silvery granules. The late nebula stage. High risks also bring high returns. Less than a year after coming to the underwater Xiuyao world, Chinyu's power finally makes another breakthrough and reaches the late nebula stage. At the moment, the energy inside Chinyu's body has become much more vigorous and pure than before. His power has increased a lot. However, even though he has reached the late nebula stage, the energy of the yuanying has only been consumed by more than half. Chinyu continues to absorb it. Time goes by. Chinyu has spent 9 whole days before finally completely refining the energy of the yuanying. Chinyu opens his eyes. There is a hint of delight in his eyes. If I run into that blood-red aquatic python again now, I won't have to work so hard. Chinyu is very confident. The creator of the stellar transformations is Lei Wei. At that time, Lei Wei was only at the middle Dujia stage. Even before undergoing the tribulation, he alone killed a Deshang stage expert, several loose immortals and tens of Dujia stage, and Kongming stage experts. He was simply killing people at a higher stage. The stellar transformations is not like other Xiuzhen techniques. For other Xiuzhen techniques, the gap between each stage is relatively large, but it is not insurmountable. However, each stage of the stellar transformations is basically a different concept. The nebula realm was still the most ordinary star energy. At the meteor stage, however, the meteor stage is called meteor, when all the silvery stars are purified to form a golden essence. The meteor stage is called meteor, when all the silvery stars are purified to form a golden essence. Compared to Qin Yu's current stellar energy, the energy of this meteor is simply not on the same level. I'm now at the nebula late stage. Dealing with an ordinary early stage yuanying won't be a problem. Although dealing with a top-notch demon beast like the blood-red aquatic python is somewhat difficult, I can still barely accomplish it. If I can reach the level of Lu Xing's early stage, I should be able to deal with an early stage Dongxi realm expert. Qin Yu was very clear about his own cultivation method. Once he reached the level of Lu Xing, he would definitely be regarded as a humanoid mythical beast. Unfortunately, to reach Lu Xing's early stage from nebula late stage, even if he swallowed early stage yuanying demon beasts, he would need at least 8 or 9 of them. If he were to cultivate on his own, it would be almost impossible without tens or hundreds of years. Oh, this storage bracelet of the blood-red aquatic python is not bad. A bracelet appears in Qin Yu's hand. It is none other than the bracelet of the blood-red aquatic python Chago. Since Chago died, this storage bracelet has become an ownerless object. Qin Yu immediately sends his spiritual sense into the bracelet and starts to examine it carefully. TSK, this blood-red aquatic python is really rich. The space inside this bracelet is relatively large. It is 20 meters in length and width. At the moment, there is a golden mountain inside the bracelet, which is completely made of gold. Next to the golden mountain is a small pile of purple gold about half a meter high. There are also some other kinds of minerals. Gold is an ordinary material, but purple gold can be refined into flying swords. Generally, 500 kilograms of gold can only be refined into 2 or 3 kilograms of purple gold. If purple gold is used to refine flying swords, they will only be low-grade flying swords. But if the purple gold is used as a supplementary material, it can be refined into purple gold liquid, and then engraved on the flying swords according to talisman seals. The result will be very good. It should be known that this purple gold liquid is a top-grade talisman seal material. As for the other kinds of minerals and crystals, most of them are used to refine low-grade holy weapons. A few of them are used to refine middle-grade holy weapons. Oh, a command tablet? Qin Yu finds a command tablet in a corner of the storage bracelet. With a thought, the command tablet immediately flies into his palm. This command tablet is black and only has the word blood red carved on it. Seeing this command tablet, Qin Yu's face changes color immediately. The blood red black command tablet. Only the 3 cave masters have it. Qin Yu's face instantly turns deathly pale. The Red Blood Cave is in charge of an area of 8 million li in radius. The Red Blood Cave has 1 cave master and 2 vice masters. These 3 cave masters have command tablets called Blood Red Black command tablets. The 13 guardians also have command tablets called Blood Red Black command tablets. Only the 3 cave masters had the Scarlet Blood Black medallion here. Then what was the python he killed? Could it be that the python was the legendary blood-red aquatic python? Qin Yu feels a burst of confusion. When he was chased by Shigon had transformed into a huge python. It should be known that pythons are a relatively large species in the sea. A python didn't allow Qin Yu to associate it with a blood-red aquatic python. Right, that guy once said that he could order Sang Mo around. Qin Yu recalls Shigon's words. This further confirms Qin Yu's conjecture. It is very likely that the one he killed was the vice master of the Red Blood Cave. As for the cave master, Qin Yu has never thought about it. In his memory, the cave master was considered invincible. How could he possibly kill him? This is the transmission tablet. Qin Yu finds the transmission tablet in his storage bracelet. Qin Yu has used the soul-searching technique before, so he knows about the transmission tablet and the Red Blood Cave's general situation. As soon as he uses his holy sense to scan the transmission tablet, Qin Yu's face changes color. Vice Master, you must have killed that immortal cultivator, right? Congratulations, this subordinate's thunder hammer is waiting for you to come and take it. Vice Master, what's the matter? You still haven't killed that Cyaxianist? Xiuxianist, is this transmission tablet in your hands? You actually dared to kill the Vice Master. You really have some strength. Haha, but there's no need for me, sang Mo, to put up a bounty. You killed the Vice Master. You're simply courting death. Just wait for the Cave Master's fury. 3 messages are transmitted through the transmission tablet, through his holy sense. As soon as Qinyu takes a look at them, his heart shakes. It's just as I expected. The one I killed was the Red Blood Cave's Vice Master. I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. Within this area of 8 million li in radius, the Red Blood Cave is the local tyrant. Moreover, according to the information he obtained from soul searching, the most terrifying cave master of the Red Blood Cave is basically an invincible being within this area. For the moment, Qinyu's mind is in a bit of a mess. How can the Red Blood Cave possibly let him off after killing the Red Blood Cave's Vice Master? Now there's only one way left. A hint of fierceness flashes through Qinyu's eyes. If he wants to travel safely through the underwater Shuyao world, he has to comprehend the Xioma secret skill Northern Darkness. The only way is to completely restrain his aura, so that other people simply won't be able to recognize his aura. First, he has to restrain his aura. Then, he has to change his appearance, and even his temperament. The most important thing is to change his temperament. Once it is changed, even Sang Yamo himself may not be able to tell that Qinyu is that Xiuxianist. To change his temperament, Qinyu has to first change his style of dress. Second, he has to learn the Northern Darkness. Once he learns the Northern Darkness, Qinyu's entire body will be like a black hole that will absorb the surrounding aura in a very domineering manner. His temperament will obviously change, but Sang Yamo simply won't be able to tell him apart if he changes his appearance and dress slightly. The Xioma secret skill Northern Darkness. Learning it is the most important thing. Qinyu has made up his mind. Not only will he be able to avoid being hunted down this time, he will also have to learn the Xioma secret skill, Northern Darkness, for the future. After 3 days of practice, Qinyu has no choice but to admit that to successfully master the Northern Darkness is simply not something that can be done in a short period of time. Kaka, a bunch of idiots. You're really too weak, too weak. An arrogant and unruly voice comes in from outside. Hearing it, Qinyu cannot help laughing. As soon as he hears it, he knows that the voice belongs to the fiery-eyed water ape Ho Fei. Qinyu goes straight out of the bamboo house and comes to the outside. After being here for so long, Qinyu still has not carefully observed this place. The bamboo house is located in an inner valley of a canyon in the deep sea. This inner valley has a natural barrier that confuses outsiders. Moreover, Uncle Lon himself has set up restrictive spells at the entrance of the inner valley, so it is almost impossible for outsiders to come in. There are really beautiful people in this inner valley. There are all kinds of colorful fish, crystal trees that emit green and lustrous rays of light, purple zoysia grass, some sparkling and translucent silver-shelled prawns, and a 7 to 8 m long huge turtle. It must be said that this inner valley is indeed very beautiful. At the moment, Ho Fei is brandishing a black stick and fighting 3 Ziyuists in a place in the inner valley. Bang! A big man carrying 2 sharp daggers and a suit of armor on his back is sent flying by Ho Fei's stick. In an instant, Ho Fei's black stick turns into 3 phantoms. That thin man with 2 sharp spears in his hands only has time to block 2 of the phantoms with the 2 spears in his hands. However, the other phantoms directly smash down on him, sending him flying. Kakago, after the stick smashes down, Ho Fei gently stretches his leg, and the fat man with the turtle shell on his back is immediately sent flying. 1 versus 3, Ho Fei wins easily. Kaka, you're really useless. You guys use a bit more strength. Come on, come on. Ho Fei says to the 3 Ziyuists while brandishing his black stick. His pair of fiery eyes glitter with warlike light. Boss, you're awesome. We admit defeat, we admit defeat. The silver-armored big man with 2 sharp daggers says hurriedly. The thin man with 2 spears on one side also says hurriedly. Boss, you're invincible. Don't fight with us. As for the fat man with the turtle shell on his back, he blinks his pitiful mung bean eyes. Suddenly, the fat man's mung bean eyes turn, and he sees Qinyu walking towards him. He says hurriedly, Boss, someone's coming. Judging from his momentum, he's walking with the gait of a dragon. He's definitely an expert. Only you, boss, can compare with him. Ho-Fei brandishes his black stick and turns around to look. Big brother. Ho-Fei's eyes brighten. His eyes are filled with fighting spirit. Big brother, come and have a few rounds with me. After saying so, he simply doesn't care whether Qinyu agrees or not. Brandishing his black stick, he charges at him extremely fast. Qinyu hasn't fought for a while, so his hands are itching for a fight. Seeing the black stick coming at him, Qinyu's eyes brighten. In the blink of an eye, the flaming gloves appear in his hands. Qinyu grabs the black stick with one hand. Sensing the terrifying energy contained in the black stick, Qinyu lets go of it at once. At the same time, his hand turns into a snake and twines around the black stick. His other hand forms a sword finger and thrusts at Ho-Fei's palm. Pung! Qinyu feels as if his sword finger has stabbed a diamond, producing a metallic sound. Qinyu can't help being astonished. He is wearing the flaming gloves after all. Even Ho-Fei's hand is unharmed. This Ho-Fei's defense is really too terrifying. Kaka, delightful. But it would be better if you use more strength. Ho-Fei is very excited. His hand slightly trembles. Suddenly, the black stick turns into a stick shadow and smashes at Qinyu. Qinyu is about to dodge, but Ho-Fei's finger slightly touches the black stick. The black stick unexpectedly vibrates rapidly while smashing down. Its trajectory is also very strange. Ho-Fei's mouth has a trace of a proud smile. Delightful. Seeing such an exquisite move, Qinyu's heart is excited. His hands are like a blooming lotus. His fingers gently touch the black stick. After several touches, the black stick's trajectory is affected. Qinyu suddenly grabs the black stick with both hands. Let go. Qinyu suddenly pulls back. At the same time, his right leg kicks at Ho-Fei's right hand that is holding the black stick. Bang! Qinyu heavily kicks Ho-Fei's right hand. However, Ho-Fei does not seem to feel anything. He grins at Qinyu, revealing his white teeth. Then Ho-Fei's arm moves. A powerful hidden force is transmitted from the black stick to Qinyu's hands. Qinyu's whole body retreats. That hidden force actually makes Qinyu's hands numb. One must know that Qinyu is wearing the flaming gloves. Looking at Ho-Fei, Qinyu has to admit that Ho-Fei is really too strong. A mythological beast of the middle stage of the Yuanying realm. It is similar to the mythological beast dragon Rocky Lion, and the mythological beast Hong Wan that Qinyu met in the past. It is comparable to a Dongshu stage Zionist. The gap between Qinyu and it is indeed very big. He can't even break its defense. Sisterly air, little fishy has been bitten by a shark outside the valley. Hurry and save it. Along with the urgent shout, a golden light flashes. It directly passes by Qinyu and Ho-Fei and enters the bamboo house. Qinyu and the others also go over. When the golden light stops, Qinyu can see clearly that it is a beautiful little girl. This little girl has golden fish scales between her eyebrows. At the moment, she is holding a purple fish. This fish's stomach has been bitten open. Obviously, it is in imminent danger. A cyan phantom suddenly appears in the courtyard of the bamboo house. It is Miss Lear. Little Jean, don't worry. It doesn't matter. Yanzi, why did you leave the valley? Who told you to fight with that shark that is about to reach the Jean Dan stage? Miss Lear says with a smile. Then she reaches out her right hand and places it on Fishy's wound. Immediately, a cyan glow appears on Miss Lear's body. Miss Lear, who is shrouded in the cyan glow, is so elegant and holy. Looking at Miss Lear treating Fishy, Qinyu suddenly feels that Miss Lear, who is treating others, is at her most charming. Even Qinyu has a trace of feeling in his heart. Qinyu can't help but shake his head and smile. Chapter 115. The purple fish's injuries were visibly recovering under the green light. In just a short while the purple fish was completely healed. It looked as if it had never been injured, which was quite astonishing. Big sisterly air is so amazing. The little girl with the golden scale between her eyebrows said excitedly. The purple fish had recovered its vitality, and was also excitedly swimming around Miss Lear. Miss Lear lovingly stroked the purple fish and reprimanded. Yanzi, today you know how powerful that shark is. Don't try to show off in the future. The purple fish's small eyes rolled around as it constantly wagged its tail and acted like a spoiled child. Miss Lear faintly smiled and then turned her head to stare blankly. Soon after, she smiled and said, Mr. Lu Xing, why are you always staring at me? Is there something on my face? Miss Lear's mouth had a hint of ridicule. Ah. Qin Yu woke up with a start. He then sorted out his emotions and said, It's just that when I saw Miss Lear heal just now, I was surprised. The nature of that green energy seems to be very strange. It actually has such a special effect on injuries. Qin Yu secretly let out a sigh of relief. He couldn't help but admire himself for being able to come up with a response in an instant. Miss Lear faintly smiled and said, This green energy is actually a special ability of my clan. Outsiders are not allowed to learn it. It does have a very good effect on the injuries of the human body. Generally, as long as the person doesn't die, they can be saved. Oh, it's really miraculous, Qin Yu hurriedly said. Miss Lear smiled and turned to return to her room. Qin Yu laughed at himself. Just now, he was actually attracted by Miss Lear's appearance when she was healing. That was really embarrassing. Fortunately, he reacted quickly. Hey, big brother Qin Yu, come and fight with me again, Ho Fei said while waving his black stick. At this moment, Qin Yu wasn't in the mood to fight with Ho Fei. Moreover, fighting with a Yuanying middle-stage mythological beast was just asking for a beating. Although Qin Yu liked to fight, he didn't like to be abused. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yu had stayed in the valley for half a month. During this half-month, Qin Yu occasionally played with Ho Fei. Most of the time, Qin Yu was practicing stellar transformations and northern underworld. Qin Yu also enjoyed another leisure activity, listening to zither music. Qin Yu had to admit that listening to Miss Lear's zither music once was a great fortune. The reason why Qin Yu was able to listen to it for so long was because Uncle Lan and Miss Lear treated him too well. According to Ho Fei, even Ho Fei couldn't live in this bamboo house. Ho Fei couldn't understand why an outsider like Qin Yu could live here. Qin Yu also felt that Uncle Lan's attitude towards him was very good. Miss Lear's attitude towards Qin Yu was also very good. Of course, Miss Lear's attitude towards all the demonic beasts in the valley didn't mean anything. However, Uncle Lan was different. Uncle Lan treated other demonic beasts very seriously. Even a mid-stage Yuanying divine beast couldn't live here. But they let me live here. Could it be because I'm also a human? Qin Yu thought over and over again. And this was the only answer he could come up with. In fact, Qin Yu had a more confident answer in his heart. However, Qin Yu didn't want to think that Uncle Lan and Miss Lear were so despicable. This answer was because of his Lu Xing's tear. Qin Yu didn't know when he was rescued. He didn't know to what extent his injuries had healed when Miss Lear saw him. If Miss Lear found out that he had a fatal injury that was now healed, she would definitely guess that he had some kind of treasure. Although Lu Xing's tear had fused into his body, outsiders wouldn't be able to discover it. However, outsiders would also guess what kind of treasure it was. I hope Miss Lear and Uncle Lan didn't do this to me because of the Lu Xing's tear. Qin Yu's heart was still as cold and hard as before. Since he was a child, Qin Yu had been alone and had almost never experienced any maternal love. Therefore, his heart was even stronger, and he was also even more manly. The blood of the Qin clan's men contained iron blood. In the deepest part of his heart, Qin Yu had always been vigilant against these two mysterious Xiaxianists. After taking a deep breath and slowly exhaling, Qin Yu hid this thought deep in his heart. After that, he calmed down and started to practice the Northern Darkness again. The Northern Darkness, a Xioma secret technique, is the most important to Qin Yu. Even if he escaped from the Xiaxianists' island, he would still be killed if that cave master of the Red Blood Cave Shahon caught up with him. Firstly, the power of underwater Zuyoists is far greater than that of Xiaxianists and Xiamoists. Shahon occupies an area of 8 million li in radius. Which Xiaxianist school would dare to oppose him? Secondly, even if he reached the Xiaxianists' island, they might not necessarily accept him. Moreover, facing Shahon, how would those Xiaxianists dare to offend Shahon for him? Considering these 2 points, He must learn the northern darkness. After all, he killed Shagon and offended Shahon. The space of his mind is misty and boundless. Incorporeal spiritual energy is floating in it. Qin Yu himself can feel that the outermost 1/10 of this spiritual energy is very stable, because it is under Qin Yu's control. However, the rest of the spiritual energy either forms a whirlpool, drifts extremely fast, or collides with each other. In short, it is chaotic. In the core area is the soul disk. Various lightning bolts are flashing in the soul. An extremely weak strand of stellar energy flows into his mind. Qin Yu does not dare to control too much stellar energy. After all, the more stellar energy there is, the harder it will be to control. Therefore, he tries his best to control as little as possible. He only takes a strand of stellar energy. However, even though it is just a strand, Qin Yu still cannot fuse it with his spiritual energy. He tries again and again. Very soon 6 hours have passed. How many times has he tried in 6 hours? Qin Yu does not know either. Just like trying to thread a needle with a thread, he has failed again and again. After 6 hours of continuous failure, even if he has a good temperament, he will still get angry. In fact, this is also a way to train one's temperament. I've failed again. It's been half a month. When will I succeed in practicing this northern darkness? Could it be that I have to hide like a turtle as long as I can't succeed? There is a hint of resentment in Qin Yu's eyes. Why did he leave the Qianlong continent at that time? Wasn't it because he wanted to embark on the endless path of Xiuxiu? What he wanted was to go on a vigorous journey, instead of hiding like a turtle from his enemies. The zither strings are plucked, and the sound of the zither is heard. Miss Lear begins to play the zither again. Hearing the sound of the zither, Qin Yu puts aside the resentment of not being able to successfully practice northern darkness. He closes his eyes and quietly enjoys the sound of the zither that shakes his soul. The sound of the zither stops, but Qin Yu is still immersed in the aftertaste. Lu Xing, Uncle Lan strides in. As soon as he sees Qin Yu's appearance, he suddenly laughs. You, Ali Air's zither sounds fascinate you to this extent. You are really, Uncle Lan. It is Miss Lear's zither sounds that I am so immersed in it. I would not be so fascinated by an ordinary zither player. Qin Yu says with a smile. Uncle Lan's eyes brighten. Oh, you are not fascinated by other zither players. I understand. It is because Miss Lear plays the zither that you are fascinated. Tell me the truth. Are you interested in Li Air? Uncle Lan ridicules. Don't talk nonsense. Qin Yu is not nervous. Uncle Lan smiles. It's just a joke. Don't take it seriously, kid. Qin Yu curls his lips and smiles but does not answer. Uncle Lan's face suddenly becomes serious. Lu Xing, Uncle Lan has been chatting with you these days. You should know what kind of person Uncle Lan is. Uncle Lan is rarely serious at this time. Seeing Uncle Lan like this, Qin Yu also becomes serious and says with a nod. Uncle Lan, if you have something to say, just say it. Uncle Lan warns. Lu Xing, I'm warning you. You must not have any hope for Li Air. You'd better not fall in love with her. Otherwise, not only will you suffer for the rest of your life, you may also lose your life at any time. Qin Yu is startled. Then he bursts out laughing. Uncle Lan, what are you talking about? Don't joke with me. Uncle Lan, however, does not smile at all. I'm not joking. To be honest, you have a very promising future. In the entire Shuyao world, there will definitely be nobody who can catch up with you. But there is one thing I have to tell you. Once you fall in love with Li Air, it will be useless no matter how powerful you are. Logically speaking, I don't have to warn you, but I really don't want you to be destroyed like this. Qin Yu is baffled. All right, let's say I worried too much. But you'd better remember what I said today. It's also my advice to you. Uncle Lan says while staring into Qin Yu's eyes. Qin Yu feels his heart tremble for a while. Just now Uncle Lan said something really astonishing. First, he said something about Qin Yu having a very promising future, and that nobody in the entire Shuyao world can catch up with him. Who does Uncle Lan think he is? Does he think he can judge people so accurately? Uncle Lan, I'll keep that in mind. Qin Yu says with a smile. But neither Qin Yu nor Uncle Lan can be sure of one thing, which is that feelings are simply uncontrollable. When a certain moment of feeling emerges, it is impossible to stop it even if you want to. Alright, train hard. Uncle Lan pats Qin Yu's shoulder then leaves. Qin Yu looks at Uncle Lan's back thoughtfully. What does this Uncle Lan mean by saying that? It seems that if I fall in love with Miss Li, my love will be destroyed. Is there such a thing as certainty? Recalling the various behaviors of Uncle Lan and Miss Li, it is obvious that Uncle Lan and Miss Li should belong to a special clan. Haha, perhaps Uncle Lan and Miss Li belong to a very formidable clan. But, if I want to love someone, even immortals won't be able to stop me, let alone those clans. Moreover, I haven't fallen in love with anyone yet. Qin Yu gives an unconcerned smile. He has never been a coward. Nobody can suppress him, even against people who are stronger than him, such as the Blood-Red Cave's Master Shahon. Qin Yu is only training in secret. It won't be too late for him to go out when he can conceal his identity. Qin Yu is fearless, but he is not a foolish, fearless person. My arm is broken. It was broken by Boss Ho. Holding 2 daggers, the man wearing battle armor says with a bitter face. At this moment, his arm is bent at a strange angle. Clearly, a normal arm would not be bent like this. Ho Fei immediately glared at him with his fiery eyes and roared. Hee, how dare you complain in front of Sister Li? Do you want me to smash your shrimp shell to pieces before you stop? Fei, stop messing around. Miss Li, who has changed into a white dress, shouts at Ho Fei. Ho Fei immediately lowers his head and stops talking. He looks like he is admitting his mistake. Miss Li snappily smiles. Then she turns her head and places her hand on the broken arm of the man. When Qin Yu steps into the courtyard, his eyes can't help but brighten. Bathed in green light, Miss Li's face looks so holy. Her skin is as glossy as jade and emits green light. Seeing Miss Li heal others, Qin Yu's heart softens a little. Qin Yu has never felt a mother's love. He has been very strong since he was young. Only a father's love has entered his heart. However, at this moment, Miss Li's motherly radiance has touched Qin Yu's heart. Qin Yu instantly becomes alert. Lu Xing, let me remind you. You must not have any hopes for Li. It's best if you don't fall in love with her. Otherwise, Uncle Lan's warning once again resounds in Qin Yu's heart. Qin Yu immediately breaks away from his previous state. Alright, when you go back, don't fight with Fei again. You'll only get hurt if you fight with him, Miss Li instructed. The man's injuries are now completely healed. He says helplessly, fight with him? Do you think I want to fight? It's all because of Boss Ho. It's my honor to fight with Boss Ho. I'm very proud and excited. The man immediately changes his words when he sees Ho Fei's gaze. Miss Li smiles. When she turns her head, she sees Qin Yu standing to the side. Hello, Mr. Lu Xing. Qin Yu also says very politely. Hello, Miss Li. Seeing Miss Li's healing skills again, I can't help but be amazed. Suddenly, Qin Yu's face shows a hint of joy. Qin Yu can clearly sense that Xiao He is rushing in his direction. Mr. Lu Xing, you seem to have something to be happy about? Miss Li asks curiously. Qin Yu nods excitedly and says, my brother Xiao He is rushing here right now. He'll probably arrive in a few days. Oh, then congratulations, Mr. Lu Xing. When brother Mr. Lu Xing arrives, please tell me first. There are restrictions outside the valley. If outsiders don't have someone inside to guide them, it'll be very difficult for them to enter. Miss Li says with a smile. Then I'll have to trouble Miss Li. Qin Yu nods with a smile. Miss Li smiles. Mr. Lu Xing is busy, so I'll go back to my room first. After saying this, she turns around and goes back to her room. Qin Yu watches Li Er's back as she enters her room. He smiles slightly, then turns around and goes back to his room to continue cultivating. Every day, Qin Yu cultivates the astral transformations and the demonic secret skill Dark North. He never slacks off. Several days later, Qin Yu can clearly sense that Xiao He is already very close, even within 50 kilometers. However, Xiao He suddenly stops. Qin Yu understands that Xiao He is blocked by the restrictions of the valley. Qin Yu immediately stands up and prepares to ask Miss Li for help. Chapter 116. After leaving the room, to Qin Yu's surprise, Miss Lear had already walked out of the room and into the courtyard. As soon as she saw Qin Yu come out, she smiled and said, "Mr. Lu Xing, I already know that your brother is here. Let's go." Qin Yu smiled and followed beside Miss Lear. The two of them walked side by side towards the entrance of the valley. Qin Yu could even smell the scent of Miss Lear's hair. The scent was very attractive, and Qin Yu's lips curled into a smile. As they approached the entrance of the valley, Qin Yu's heart was filled with excitement at the prospect of seeing Xiaohe. Qin Yu and Miss Lear walked out of the entrance of the valley so easily. How could there be any restrictions? However, as soon as they turned around, they would discover that the entrance of the cave had become the same stone wall as the other places. This was just an illusion technique. However, it was an extremely advanced illusion technique. Even Xiaohe couldn't discover it. Seeing Xiaohe not far away, Qin Yu's eyes immediately lit up. Ever since they had been chased by Sang Mo and separated, Qin Yu hadn't reunited with Xiaohe. A while ago, Qin Yu and Xiaohe just happened to reunite, but they ran into Chago and Chap, so they didn't reunite. "Xiaohe," Qin Yu's slightly trembling voice sounded. Xiaohe suddenly turned around. Seeing Qin Yu, he immediately let out a high-pitched eagle cry. The eagle cry even scared away the surrounding schools of fish. "Big brother." Xiaohe's excited voice rang out in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu quickly rushed to Xiaohe's side and hugged Xiaohe. Xiaohe also used his wings to wrap around Qin Yu. Miss Lear stood to the side, a hint of a smile on her face. "Xiaohe, you've changed. You've become half as thin as before, and even your aura has changed. What's going on?" At this moment, Qin Yu discovered Xiaohe's astonishing changes. If they hadn't been telepathic, Qin Yu wouldn't have been so certain. Xiaohe had become much thinner, and his aura was very domineering and fierce. His eyes were even sharper and colder than before. "Big brother, when I reached the late stage of Jin Dan, I was prepared to kill Sang Mo. Although it was dangerous, I had already used a forbidden technique to change my body. Logically speaking, it should have been easy for me to deal with an early-stage Yuanying expert. Who would have thought that when I met up with you that day, we would encounter a huge python? That python was much stronger than Sang Mo. I estimate that it was at least a mid-stage Yuanying expert." Xiaohe was also very angry. "Forbidden technique?" Qin Yu was shocked. Xiaohe said through his spiritual sense, "It's a secret technique from my memories. Once I use it, my entire body will be reborn. Even if my cultivation level doesn't change, my attack power will increase by a lot." Blackie had reached the late stage of the Gold Core realm. Even if he did not use the forbidden technique, he could deal with the masters of the early stage of the nascent soul realm. Once he used the forbidden technique, he could even compete with the masters of the middle stage of the nascent soul realm. However, the chap that Xiaohe encountered that day was not only a mid-stage Yuanying expert, but also a blood-red aquatic python. Blood-red aquatic pythons are top-class demonic beasts, second only to divine beasts. A mid-stage Yuanying expert is much more powerful than a mid-stage Yuanying Xiuxianist. Even so, Xiaohe was only at a slight disadvantage at that time. When he finally escaped, Chap chased after him for a long time, but failed to catch up. Later on, after receiving his big brother's order, Chap returned to his cave. "Then why did you only come to my place today?" Qin Yu asked doubtfully. Given Xiaohe's speed, it should have taken him a lot of time to find him. Xiaohe said through his holy sense, "Big brother, when I escaped from that python, I wanted to kill Sang Mo first. But later I learned that the entire Red Blood Cave was hunting you down. So Sang Mo went to the Red Blood Cave together with two early-stage Yuanying demonic beasts. With the three of them together, I didn't dare to attack them. Before the battle between Shigon and Qin Yu, he arrogantly told Sang Mo to prepare a thunder hammer. Later he died. Sang Mo assumed that Qin Yu was the culprit, so he reported it to Shigon. A furious Shigon even ordered Sang Mo to go to the Red Blood Cave. Not only Sang Mo, even the other guardians outside had to hurry to the Red Blood Cave. Sang Mo went to the Red Blood Cave together with the other two guardians. Xiaohe ran a long way in vain, so he had no choice but to go back to find Qin Yu. This round trip covered over 1 million li. Big brother, you can't go out now. You're being hunted down outside. Xiaohei reminded him. Qin Yu slightly nodded. Ever since he found out that the person he killed was the vice master of the Red Blood Cave, Qin Yu was able to guess what was going on. It should be known that Sang Mo's bounty and the Red Blood Cave's hunt are two totally different things. Sang Mo's bounty was only meant to attract people. The Red Blood Cave, on the other hand, forced all Zuyoists within a radius of 8 million li to hunt him down. This was an order. This was because the Red Blood Cave was the manager of this area. After returning to the ravine, Xiaohei and Qin Yu also settled down. However, Xiaohei's arrival made Hou Fei very happy. This was because Xiaohei often exchanged blows with him. Moreover, when Xiaohei used all kinds of strange moves, even Hou Fei had to spend a lot of effort to defeat him. A month passed peacefully. One day, Qin Yu and Xiaohei are talking to each other in the courtyard. Big brother, this ravine is really very peaceful. I'm going to go out and wander around for a while. Xiaohei pondered for a long time, then finally said what he wanted to do. Qin Yu is startled, but immediately understands. Xiaohei is an eagle. An eagle wants to soar to the highest heavens. Even though Xiaohei stayed in the ravine for a month, because of Qin Yu, Xiaohei is still looking forward to the bloody battles outside the ravine, and so on. Sure, Xiaohei. Qin Yu says smilingly. Xiaohei blinks his eagle eyes. He is really a bit reluctant to part with Qin Yu. Big brother, why don't you also go out and have fun with me? Xiaohei says to Qin Yu to persuade him. Given our power, we'll be able to put up a fight even against Middle Yuanying demonic beasts. It's said that in the entire Red Blood Cave, there are only a limited number of demonic beasts that have surpassed the Middle Yuanying stage. As long as we're careful, we won't run into any of them. Hearing Xiaohei's suggestion, Qin Yu is naturally tempted. Qin Yu's blood is boiling and full of passion. There are not many experts in the Red Blood Cave, so if Qin Yu and Xiaohei are careful, nothing serious will happen to them. Generally, when Zuyoists try to kill them, they will instead give Qin Yu Jin Dan, Yuanying and so on. No, there's no hurry. Let's wait until I finish practicing the Northern Darkness. Xiaohei, don't worry. I'll finish practicing the Northern Darkness as soon as possible. Qin Yu, however, does not agree. Is Qin Yu really staying here to practice the Northern Darkness? Xiaohei has left. However, the days in the valley continue as usual. Qin Yu practices the stellar transformations and the Xioma secret skill, Northern Darkness, every day. Despite repeated failures, Qin Yu is not in a hurry. Subconsciously, if he does not succeed in practicing the Northern Darkness, Qin Yu can stay in the valley with a clear conscience. He practices every day and listens to Miss Lear playing the zither every day. Occasionally, he can even see Miss Lear treating the injuries of some demonic beasts. Qin Yu even had the idea of fighting with Hou Fei and getting injured himself, so that he could experience Miss Lear's treatment. Of course, Qin Yu throws that idea to the depths of his mind as soon as it appears. 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye. For practitioners, 3 years is really a very short period of time. During this time, Xiaohei came back once. Then he stayed in the valley for a month before leaving again. Some time ago, Yanzi's little fish also transformed into a human form. On this day, Qin Yu sits cross-legged on his bed and practices the Northern Darkness again. After 3 years of nourishment from Lu Xing's tears, Qin Yu's soul is much stronger than before. Even the toughness of his soul strength has become stronger. Qin Yu can control 1/8 of his soul strength. However, there is still no sign of success in practicing the Northern Darkness for 3 years. Suddenly, Qin Yu's entire body trembles. A trace of extreme ecstasy appears on his face. At this moment, in his mind, a trace of star strength and a trace of soul strength are entwined with each other as if they are real. It must be known that Qin Yu's biggest problem is that his soul strength and star strength are unable to form a substantial contact. Qin Yu holds back his excitement and continues to wait. Time passes, minute by minute, second by second. The entwined star strength and soul strength begin to fuse together. After an unknown period of time, the star strength and soul strength finally succeeded in fusing, becoming indistinguishable from each other. Qin Yu's eyes suddenly open. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. Success! Including the period of time when he was being hunted, Qinyu has trained for 3 years and finally succeeded. The first trace of star strength and soul strength has been formed. For 3 years, Qinyu has tried every day. It has even become a habit for him. After fusing star strength and soul strength, this energy will be called soul strength. Qinyu's breathing becomes a bit ragged. This soul strength is different from star strength and soul strength. However, it is very small, just a trace. But this trace is the key to using the northern darkness. Qinyu closes his eyes and follows the northern darkness secret technique. That strand of soul force starts to change. Just like that, a strand of soul force forms a talisman according to a strange drawing. Immediately, a strange feeling rushes into his mind. Qinyu has a certain feeling. With but a thought, he can completely retract his aura. All of this is because of the talisman seal formed from soul strength. It can even increase the suction force, causing the surrounding aura to be absorbed. To outsiders, Qinyu is like a black hole. After slightly controlling the power of the talisman, Qinyu's entire body begins to absorb the surrounding aura. He is like a human-shaped black hole, and his aura becomes extremely strange. Success! Qinyu controls the talisman seal to stop, and Qinyu returns to his original state. Haha, I finally succeeded. Qinyu's eyes are shining, and his face is filled with excitement. After waiting for so long, he has finally succeeded. Once he uses this technique to change his aura and his appearance, even Sangamo won't be able to recognize him. Instantly, the smile on Qinyu's face vanishes. I've succeeded. I have to leave. Must I leave? Qinyu suddenly feels a bit disappointed. For the past 3 years, the sound of the zither has become an indispensable part of Qinyu's life. Miss Lear's pure and holy appearance when she healed others is forever imprinted in Qinyu's mind. Uncle Lan walks in from outside laughing. Lu Xing, you've been training for 9 days in a row. Can it be that you've succeeded? 9 days. Qinyu is shocked. He didn't expect that the fusion of a trace of star strength and a trace of soul strength would take 9 days. As for succeeding, Qinyu has obviously succeeded. He can now change his aura at any time. Succeeded? No, it's just some progress. I still need some time to succeed. Qinyu says to Uncle Lan. Oh, Uncle Lan smiles. It's good that you've made some progress. For the past 3 years, you haven't made any progress. I think you should also want to go to the endless sea of cultivators and make a good name for yourself. Qinyu can only nod his head. Well, do your best. Uncle Lan is just about to turn around and leave when he suddenly stops and turns around to face Qinyu. At this moment, Uncle Lan looks very serious. He says, Lu Xing, remember what I told you 3 years ago? 3 years ago? Qinyu is thinking, but Uncle Lan has already left the room. Qinyu opens the window of the bamboo hut. Through the window, he can see the bamboo hut behind him. At the moment, Miss Lear is sitting by the window again. She has taken out a zither and placed it in front of her. She is once again concentrating on playing the zither. From this position, he can only see Miss Lear's side profile. In the past, when Miss Lear was talking about love, Qinyu would always close his eyes and listen to her. He has never watched Miss Lear play the zither so carefully. Wave after wave of beautiful notes float out from the zither, and Miss Lear's face seems to radiate an enchanting brilliance. In an instant, Qinyu is a bit dazed. Such days don't last for long. Half a month later, the tranquility of the ravine is broken because a group of Zuyoists has been discovered outside the ravine. This group of Zuyoists is frantically and carefully searching the surroundings as if they are chasing someone. Sisterly air, bad news. Just now I was playing outside and was questioned by a Zuyoist. Now the Red Blood Cave is chasing after a Zyuxianist. Yen Zi, who is dressed in purple, rushes in hurriedly and says loudly. In the hut, Qinyu raises his eyebrows. Qinyu naturally knows that the Red Blood Cave is chasing after him. But in the beginning, the Red Blood Cave only sent a large number of people to roughly search the area using their holy sense. 2 years later, even after searching the entire area of the Red Blood Cave with their holy sense, they still haven't found him. Qinyu originally thought the Red Blood Cave would give up. Unexpectedly, The red blood cave has unexpectedly started to send a large number of zooists to carefully search the area. At the moment, the search has already reached this place. That illusionary technique is very mysterious, but nobody can say for sure whether it will really be seen through or not. If it is seen through and the people of the red blood cave come in, then Yanzi, don't worry. Those people won't be able to find this place. Miss Lear says smilingly. She looks very calm. Uncle Lon, who is drinking tea in the courtyard, doesn't care about this at all. Uncle Lon, Miss Lear, I've already mastered the northern darkness technique. I'm going to leave. Chinyu walks out of the hut with a smile. At the same time, Chinyu starts to control the talisman formed by the soul force in his mind. Immediately, Chinyu's entire body seems to have turned into a black hole. Not only does it not emit any aura, it even absorbs the aura of the surroundings, including the holy energy of the universe. The shape of Chinyu's face also starts to change slowly. Even though the change is very small, his entire body has become much colder. He now has the appearance of the assassin Lu Xing. At the same time, Chinyu is wearing a black chongpao. This is a chongpao made by Lei Wei of Thunder Mountain House. I believe that nobody will recognize me after this. Looking at Miss Lear, Uncle Lon, and that Yanzi girl, Chinyu says smilingly. Chinyu's hair is only an inch long. Even though he is wearing a black chongpao, Chinyu looks very grave and stern because of the muscles on his upper body. In addition, his entire body is absorbing the aura of the surroundings like a black hole. People can't help but feel coldness from the bottom of their hearts. Good. Uncle Lon looks at Chinyu with a trace of admiration in his eyes. Chinyu smiles slightly. He always felt that Uncle Lon is unfathomable, as if he can see through all of his thoughts. Miss Lear looks at Chinyu's current appearance, and her eyes also brightens. She exclaims in admiration. Mr. Lu Xing's secret technique is really mysterious. Outsiders definitely won't be able to see through it. At this moment a voice sounds. Big brother Lu Xing, I want to go out with you. Master, please let me go out. Kuroa's cultivation is even worse than mine, but he can still go out. Please let me go out. Ho Fei impatiently rushes in, and says without stopping. Ho Fei then looks at Chinyu, urging him with his eyes. At the same time, he says via holy sense communication. Big brother Lu Xing, please give me a hand. Chinyu gives a smile then says to Uncle Lon. Uncle Lon, Fei is a divine beast. Given his power, he won't be in any danger in the underwater world of zooists. Besides, if he doesn't go through trials and hardships, he probably won't be able to grow. Just let him go out. Chinyu has been calling Ho Fei Fei for 3 years, so he has become familiar with him. That's why he calls him so familiarly. Ho Fei immediately looks at Uncle Lon pitifully. Uncle Lon shakes his head and gives a helpless smile. All right, since Lu Xing said so, you can go out with Lu Xing. But you have to remember that unless it's absolutely necessary, don't go berserk and start fighting. Got it? Uncle Lon looks solemnly at Ho Fei. Got it. Ho Fei jumps up excitedly at once. Ho Fei hugs Chinyu enthusiastically. Thank you, big brother Lu Xing. Big brother, let's go. I don't want to stay here for even a moment longer. Ho Fei's heart has already flown out of the valley. Now he is very excited. Chinyu slightly nods. Suddenly, Chinyu looks at Uncle Lon and Miss Lear saying, Miss Lear, Uncle Lon, before we go, I want to tell you something. Lu Xing is just my code name. My real name is Chinyu. Fei, let's go. Chinyu doesn't want to say anything at all. He directly walks out of the bamboo house. Haha, I'm going out. Get ready to be beaten up by me one by one. Haha. Ho Fei is very excited. Chinyu doesn't turn around to take another look, because he doesn't want to see it. Will I ever come back here? Chinyu asks himself in his heart, but even he can't answer himself. Chinyu suddenly smiles. Perhaps I should belong to a life of carnage, with ups and downs of passion. Chapter 117. After going out of the ravine, Ho Fei's entire body is filled with vigor at once. His fiery eyes look around excitedly. At the bottom of the ocean, a huge whale swims past. Ho Fei shouts and reaches out his hand. Various rays of light envelop that whale. That whale starts to shrink extremely fast. In just a while, only a layer of skin is left. Kaka, what a good amount of essence blood. It's very hard to stay in the ravine. I was even reprimanded for killing a few fishes. The outside world is indeed very pleasant. Kaka. Ho-Fei dances with joy and excitement and scratches his ears and cheeks. He is indeed very happy. Qingyu is slightly startled. Devouring essence blood is also an extremely rare technique for demonic beasts. This Ho-Fei is indeed a divine beast. He unexpectedly knows this technique. Fei, this underwater world of zooyoists is very cruel. Just a word of disagreement, and people may kill each other. Divine beasts have amazing potential. If other people find out that you're a divine beast, maybe some experts will directly kill you to avoid future troubles. So, big brother, I know. Kaka is just hiding my strength. Haha. Ho-Fei blinks his fiery eyes and says laughingly. Qingyu has lived with Ho-Fei for 3 years, so he knows that Ho-Fei is very smart. Master said that I can't use the berserk fighting mode in the future. I'll restrain myself a bit more and keep my power at the 3rd layer. Ho-Fei thinks for a while then makes a decision. Qingyu has also heard about the berserk fighting mode. Ho-Fei in that mode is very terrifying. When Ho-Fei is not in that mode, he is already very powerful. Once he enters that mode, he is simply terrifying. Catch. Qingyu tosses Ho-Fei an identity jade tile. Qingyu has killed quite a few zooyoists, so naturally he has obtained quite a few identity jade tiles. He casually takes one out. After all, with this identity jade tile, it will be a bit easier for him to do things later. Kaka, what's this? Ho-Fei receives the identity jade tile and looks it up and down. Fei, this identity jade token is used to identify your identity. All you need to do is drip a drop of blood on it and absorb it into your body. Normally, people from the same faction were not allowed to kill each other, but people from different factions were allowed to kill each other. As for the people with the 9 Fiends identity jade plate, they couldn't be killed either. But this is only true for ordinary zooyoists. In the end, Qingyu adds this sentence. So what if he killed him? He was only facing the pursuit of the Red Blood Cave law enforcers. Of course, the premise was that the other party could find the murderer. As long as he did it cleanly and left no traces behind, who couldn't he kill? I understand. Isn't it just a battle between different powers? When will I also occupy a treasure land, recruit a group of subordinates, and become the boss? Ho-Fei was very arrogant. Qingyu gives a smile. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Let's go. I'll slowly explain to you the various big underwater zooyoists on the way. It's not as easy as you think to be the boss. As the two of them go on their way, Qingyu tells Ho-Fei about the various branches of the underwater zooyoist world, as well as some necessary basic knowledge. Of course, this is what Qingyu learned from soul searching in the past. Hey, you two, stop. We're the guards of the Red Blood Cave. Following a loud shout, a group of 50 zooyoists appears in front of Qingyu and Ho-Fei. These 50 zooyoists are all pretty good, but the strongest among them is only at the late stage of Jindan. They are basically nothing to Qingyu and Ho-Fei. Haha, why are you calling your uncle? Ho-Fei laughs strangely, staring at the leader of the skinny group. Being stared at by Ho-Fei, the zooyoist leader's hair stands on end, and his heart trembles. This monkey doesn't care at all when he hears that I'm a guard. Judging from his aura, he must be an expert of the Yuanying stage. The one beside him. At the sight of Qingyu, the thin zooyoist's face turns even livid. With his sturdy chest and rare inch-long hair, Qingyu's entire body gives off an aura of toughness. But Qingyu is wearing a black robe from head to toe, which is fluttering in the wind. In addition, Qingyu's entire body is absorbing the surrounding aura, like a black hole, without giving off any aura at all. Seeing Qingyu's eyes, the thin zooyoist's heart trembles even more. Domineering, indifferent and cruel. The thin zooyoist immediately defines Qingyu, being able to become the leader of a small guard team. He has some insight. Didn't you hear your grandpa's question? Ho-Fei's voice rises again. The thin zooyoist immediately looks at Ho-Fei. Being stared at by Ho-Fei's fiery eyes, he is a bit scared. He says at once, Seniors, I've been ordered by the cave master to search for a Zyuxianist. This Zyuxianist has a magnanimous aura. He doesn't have any demonic aura, and his power is very hot and pure. If you know who he is, you can tell me. At the moment, the thin Zuyuist is very respectful. He even tells them some of the characteristics of Zyuxianists. A faint smile appears on the corners of Qin Yu's mouth corners. Magnanimous? When Qin Yu first went to the bottom of the sea, his aura was indeed very magnanimous. Add to that the pure and hot aura of his energy, it was indeed very easy to tell him apart. However, after successfully practicing the Northern Darkness, Qin Yu's entire aura has changed completely. You can piss off now. Ho Fei says while waving his hand. The thin Zuyuist is delighted as soon as he hears this. Ignoring Ho Fei's disdain, he bows and says, "Then I'll take my leave." After saying so, he immediately shouts an order to his subordinates. "All of you, go to the southern area and search. Let's go quickly." After saying so, he hurriedly leads his subordinates away. The thin Zuyuist knows very well that even though the rule forbids people of the same power from killing each other, some people don't care about this rule at all. It's fine as long as the corpses are destroyed, and no evidence is left behind. Haha, a bunch of cowards. Just now I even wanted to taste some meat. Ho Fei's fiery eyes flash with a hint of red light. On one side, Qin Yu gives a smile. When he was chatting with Uncle Lon at that time, Uncle Lon already told him that fire-eyed water apes are wild and unruly. At the same time, they are violent and want to kill each other. This is their nature. Fei, where do you think we should go? Ho Fei's fiery eyes flash with light. He says, "Do you still need to ask? Just now you said that Zuyuists are usually scattered all over the Red Blood Cave. Only the Blood Red Ridge has the most Zuyuists. Let's go there." Qin Yu raises his eyebrows. The Blood Red Ridge? The headquarters of the Red Blood Cave. Half of the Zuyuists within 8 million li of the cave are gathered here. Even though you know there are tigers on the mountain, you still want to go there. All right, the Blood Red Ridge. Let's go there. Qin Yu waves his robe. His eyes glitter. On one side, Ho Fei also shouts strangely excitedly. Afterwards, Qin Yu and Ho Fei rush to the Blood Red Ridge extremely fast, side by side. His black robe flutters. Qin Yu's ice-cold eyes flash with fierceness. The Blood Red Ridge? Perhaps not even Sang Imo can recognize it in front of him, let alone Qin Yu. What does he have to be afraid of? At worst, he and Ho Fei will kill each other in the Blood Red Ridge. If you have power, you should be a bit more rampant and wanton. If you go against your conscience, you might as well not embark on this difficult and dangerous path of cultivation. The two of them are extremely fast. At first, Qin Yu's flaming sword was forged from in-rock flaming iron. Then in Lei Mountain House, Qin Yu fused crystals with dark and metal properties, so that the flaming sword became a high-grade holy weapon. Qin Yu only gives it a thought, and the flaming sword turns black. It emits a dark aura. Qin Yu is totally capable of turning the flaming sword red and emitting flames. He can also turn the flaming sword golden. Standing on the black flaming sword and wearing a black robe, Qin Yu looks very cold indeed. Kaka, interesting. Ho Fei's fiery eyes unexpectedly shoot hazy red light into the distance. This is the first time that Ho Fei has left the outside world. It is also the first time that he has seen so many underwater creatures. Naturally, he is very excited. Suddenly, Big Brother, stop. In the blink of an eye, the red light emitted by Ho Fei's fiery eyes unexpectedly becomes much clearer and shoots directly at a mountain rock at the bottom of the sea. What are you doing? Qin Yu stops and looks at Ho Fei. Ho Fei also has some special skills. Since he asked Qin Yu to stop, he naturally has his reasons. Ho Fei grimaces and is very proud. Big Brother, you don't know this. My fiery eyes have a magical power. The higher my power, the more powerful my fiery eyes are. Now my fiery eyes can find some natural treasures. Qin Yu's heart leaps. Eyes can find treasures? Cock a break for me. Ho Fei smiles and stretches out his hand. The black stick suddenly appears and at the same time, it suddenly lengthens and smashes the mountain rock. Immediately, the mountain rock is shattered and splintered in all directions. And in the center of the shattered mountain rock, There is unexpectedly a pebble emitting red light. Qin Yu uses his holy sense to scan it. It's actually a high-grade warm jade. Jade born from stone. What a treasure! Qin Yu immediately recognizes that this high-grade warm jade has many special effects. For example, if it is placed on a corpse, it will prevent the corpse from decaying. Moreover, if it is placed on the body, it can calm the mind and is very beneficial for cultivation. At the same time, the warm jade is also a treasure for refining magic weapons and spirit tools. Big brother, how is it? My fiery eyes are amazing, right? Ho Fei is very proud. It's really amazing. Qin Yu praises. Ho Fei is very strange. He didn't want this warm jade, and directly threw it to Qin Yu. Qin Yu thought that Ho Fei doesn't like treasures. When they continue on the road, Qin Yu finds that he was wrong. The road to the Blood-Red Ridge is not far, only about 800,000 li. Along the way, Ho Fei unexpectedly found 7 treasures. Among them, 5 were thrown to Qin Yu, and the other 2 were kept by him. Qin Yu finds out that Ho Fei likes some ores for refining weapons, but he doesn't like spirit mushrooms or strange herbs. He doesn't even like warm jade, crushed stone essence, moonlight jade, and other things. Just as Qin Yu and Ho Fei are about to reach the Blood-Red Ridge, the Red Blood Cave's cave master comes out of closed-door training again. In the Red Blood Cave's main hall, sitting high up, Shahon's complexion is very unsightly. That black jade box still hasn't been opened. That most basic dust removal restriction took Shahon more than 100 years. Just now, he had no choice but to come out of the secret room. To open the black jade box, it will take him a year and a half. In the past, when he was in closed-door training, he knew that there was still a long way to go, so his state of mind was still calm. Now that he has reached the final juncture, Shahon is actually worried about personal gains and losses. Sometimes he is worried that the 9 Spirits Hall, the Blue Dragon Temple, and the Blue River Province will find out about this. Sometimes he is worried that his subordinates will find out and betray him. Greetings, Cave Master. The 13 protectors below him bow and say at the same time. The 13 protectors of the Red Blood Cave are all experts. Even the weakest protector, although on the surface he is at the late stage of the Jin Dan stage, his actual attack power is comparable to that of a Yuanying stage, and the strength of the strongest protector is even close to that of Shahon. Although Shahon is the Vice Cave Master, he is not as strong as the strongest protector. Have you caught that Zyuxianist? Shahon's voice came from above. What can the 13 protectors and the Vice Cave Master say? Big brother, that Zyuxianist is very cunning. I have already investigated the few Zyuxianist sects in the 8 million kilometer water region. There is no Zyuxianist with blazing and pure energy. Chap stepped forward and said with a bow. Sang Imo also stepped forward and said, Cave Master, that Zyuxianist is very cunning. For the past 3 years, there has been no trace of him at all. I suspect that he might have run off to another power's territory. Humph. Shahon's cold gaze swept past Sang Imo. Sang Mo's heart trembled. We have been chasing that Zyuxianist for 3 years. The 9 Spirits Hall has 8 powers under its command. I even asked the other powers' cave masters to help me put out an arrest warrant. But until now, there is still no news at all. The 9 Spirits Hall's territory covers 90 million kilometers. Do you really think that a Zyuxianist can travel 90 million kilometers in 3 short years? Shahon was only one of the 8 cave masters under the command of the 9 Spirits Hall. At most, he could ask the other cave masters for help. As for the Blue Dragon Temple and the Blue River Province, Shahon didn't have the qualifications to ask them to do anything. Sangamo, I remember you mentioned a black hawk last time? Shahon suddenly said. Sang-Imo immediately replied, Cave Master, when we were dealing with that Zyuxianist that day, that Zyuxianist was with a black hawk. That Zyuxianist and the black hawk seemed to have a very good relationship. They were fighting for each other's lives. Sang-Imo naturally remembered the battle that day very clearly. He knew that Xiaohei and Qin Yu were fighting for each other's lives. Oh, Shahon, who was in the main hall, responded. Then he stopped talking. None of the others dared to make a sound. After a long time, Shahon suddenly said, Pass down my order. From today onwards, Not only do we have to hunt down that Zyuxionist, we also have to hunt down that Black Hawk. Remember, it's hunting, not killing. Yes. The 13 Guardians and the Vice Cave Master responded at the same time. With a wave of his big sleeve, Shahon disappeared from the main hall. The 13 Guardians and the Vice Cave Master knew very well that Shahon often went into closed-door training. Occasionally, he would come out for a while and then go back into closed-door training. Moreover, he hated being disturbed when he was in closed-door training. If we catch the Black Hawk, the Zyuxionists will definitely come. Don't they have a good relationship? Shahon's eyes flashed coldly. Then he entered the secret chamber. No matter how important his brother's revenge was, it was not as important as his black jade box. At this moment, Qin Yu and Ho Fei finally arrived at the Red Blood Cave's headquarters, the Blood Red Ridge, after searching for treasures. Chapter 118. The Red Blood Cave covers an area of 8 million li in radius, and the Blood Red Ridge is the core area of this area. Half of all Zuyoists are gathered here, so this place is obviously much more prosperous and beautiful than other places at the bottom of the sea. At the moment, Qin Yu and Ho Fei have already entered the Blood Red Ridge. There are about 100,000 Zuyoists within an area of 8 million li in radius, under the Red Blood Cave. Only 1 in 1,000 Zuyoists has reached the Yuanying stage. In other words, there are nearly 100 Yuanying stage experts in the entire area of 8 million li in radius. But most of them are hiding in their own caves. The Blood Red Ridge is actually a huge underwater mountain range. There are many caves and palaces, built on many mountain peaks of the mountain range. Generally, there are 10-odd Zuyoists in a palace, and several thousand Xiantian demonic beasts at their command. Large palaces even have over 100 Zuyoists and countless demonic beasts. Kaka, these Zuyoists really know how to ***king enjoy life. Look, those caves tsk, they're really luxurious. Ho Fei looks at the palaces on the mountain peaks in the distance, and cannot help praising. Qin Yu glances at the palaces in the distance. He is not very surprised. Zuyoists aren't like mortals, so it's naturally very easy for them to build caves. Moreover, they can even order some Xiantian demonic beasts to help them. In the secular world, it's very difficult to move a 10,000 gene boulder, but it's very easy for Zuyoists. Oh. Qin Yu suddenly looks at a huge mountain peak in the north. Ho Fei's eyes also brighten. He looks at a huge mountain peak in the distance. There is an extremely luxurious palace on that mountain peak, which is not much different from an imperial palace in the secular world. The biggest palace is located on the highest mountain peak of the Blood Red Ridge. The topmost part of that mountain peak has been cut off, forming a flat surface with a radius of several tens li. On this flat surface, there is a tall and luxurious palace, the Red Blood Cave. The Red Blood Cave is located at the highest point of the Red Blood Cave. The Red Blood Cave occupies an area of several tens li in radius. There are many courtyards and pavilions in the cave. There are squads of Zuyoists patrolling outside the palace. There are also some seductive female Zuyoists serving as maids, dancers and so on inside the palace. Red Blood Cave. Qin Yu saw the words from afar. Ho Fei was also very surprised as he looked at the palace. He was even more shocked than Qin Yu. In any case, Qin Yu had seen the imperial palace in the Hidden Dragon continent. Moreover, his own mansion was also not small. However, Ho Fei had only seen bamboo houses in the past. Damn it, what a waste. There are only a few people in the Red Blood Cave. However, if I were to live in it, I wouldn't let such a large and luxurious palace go to waste, Ho Fei said as he blinked his eyes. Idiot. 3 Zuyoists fly past him. Hearing Ho Fei's words, they say disdainfully, in the Blood Red Ridge, Zuyoists are flying from one mountain peak to another in groups of 3 to 5. At first glance, Qin Yu can see nearly 1,000 Zuyoists flying in all directions. Compared to other places, there are indeed many Zuyoists in this Blood Red Ridge. Hey, stop for your grandpa. Ho Fei suddenly shouts loudly. His fiery eyes emit terrifying rays of light as he stares directly at those 3 Zuyoists. Those three Zuyoists are unexpectedly startled. They seem to be stupefied by Ho Fei's shout just now. The monkey hair all over Ho Fei's body starts to stand up. Damn it! You even dare to curse your grandpa. Listen to me. Your grandpa's name is Ho Fei. Not allowing Ho Fei to finish his words, the other three Zuyoists also shout loudly. Hairy monkey, you're unexpectedly arrogant. Who in this blood-red ridge doesn't know us three brothers? Let's kill him. After saying so, the three Zuyoists each take out their weapons and attack. A hint of blood-red color flashes through Ho Fei's eyes. Pung, pung, pung. Three black stick silhouettes flash by. A series of bone-breaking sounds are heard, and the three Zuyoists are sent flying away, while screaming miserably. Kaka, you want to fight me? You're courting death. Ho Fei brandishes his black stick arrogantly. Qin Yu makes a sweep with his holy sense, and discovers that those three Zuyoists only have their legs broken. Ho Fei doesn't go crazy and kill them all. After all, this is the headquarters of the Red Blood Cave, and Ho Fei also knows the severity of this matter. Don't worry, they're not dead. Ho Fei says while hefting his black stick carelessly. Suddenly, Ho Fei's fiery eyes brighten. With his hands behind his back, Chap flies out directly from the front gate of the Red Blood Cave. 4 of the 13 guardians follow behind him. They are Baiyin, Ran Ran, Mu Su and Yizhong. Baiyin is the leader of these 4 guardians. Let's go. Let's go to Inkstone Peak. Chap says directly. Vice Master, the wine at Inkstone Peak is really good. I really don't know how that old geezer Yin Lian actually made it. Baiyin says smilingly beside Chap. Baiyin is wearing a white suit of armor. He looks elegant, suave and extraordinarily handsome. Ran Ran says with a cold laugh. Who does that Yin Lian think he is? Just tell him to hand over the method of making wine or kill him. Ran Ran's hair is half blue and half black. Even his face is half black and half blue. Mu Su, on the other hand, remains silent. Yizhong looks like a nice guy who is always smiling. However, the other guardians know how ruthless Yizhong is. Halfway through their flight, the 5 of them suddenly, boom. In the distance, there is the sound of rocks shattering. Chap and the others immediately look in that direction, only to see a faint colorful light emitted. Chap and the others' eyes immediately brighten. Almost at the same time, they rush towards that direction. Kaka, big brother, what do you think? Once I make a move, it definitely won't be bad. Ho Fei once again produces a treasure, 5 Nights Violet Flower. Once this flower matures and blossoms, if no one comes to pick it after 5 days, it will automatically fall and lose its medicinal efficacy. Qin Yu's eyes brighten. 5 Nights Violet Flower. This is a treasure for making pills. Its value is definitely comparable to a high-grade holy artifact. Ho Fei doesn't like this kind of treasure for making pills. He directly tosses it to Qin Yu. Qin Yu reaches out and catches it. Stop! With a loud shout, 5 figures suddenly appear in front of Qin Yu. It is Chap and the others. Chap and the others just now saw Ho Fei dig out this treasure with their own eyes. Among them, the Ran Ran guardian directly reaches out to snatch it. Qin Yu's eyes flash with a cold light. He angrily shouts, "Scram!" Like lightning, Qin Yu kicks out with his leg. Pung! Qin Yu and the Ran Ran simultaneously fly backwards. The 2 of them are unexpectedly neck and neck. Qin Yu sweeps with his spiritual sense, and discovers that the opponent has reached the early stage of yuanying. Every time Qin Yu cultivates, his body is formed by tempering it. His body is much stronger than that of ordinary demonic beasts. Although the Ran Ran is at the early stage of yuanying, his body is not as good as Qin Yu's. Qin Yu and the Ran Ran look at each other. They both feel that the other is not to be trifled with. Chap and the others also discover that Qin Yu and Ho Fei are not the kind of people who can be easily bullied. Baiyin takes a step forward. This 5 Nights Purple Flower belongs to my Red Blood Cave. My deputy cave master has long known that there is a 5 Nights Purple Flower here. Unfortunately, this 5 Nights Purple Flower can only be plucked when it is ripe. Moreover, it cannot be picked too late. If it is late by 5 nights, this 5 Nights Purple Flower will become useless. Please return it to its rightful owner. Baiyin says with a smile, a refined and courteous appearance. Bullshit. Ho Fei is already bristling with anger. All the monkey hair on his body stands up. He squawks strangely. What do you mean your cave master has long known that there is a treasure here? If he knew, why didn't he transplant it into the cave? Moreover, this 5 nights purple flower is under the mountain rocks. How did you know? Ho Fei's fiery eyes radiate light in all directions. The aura of his entire body bursts out, unexpectedly suppressing the others. How can Ho Fei possibly remain calm and not get angry when others unexpectedly want to snatch something that he personally plucked? Fuck off, did you hear me? I told you to get the hell out of here. Otherwise, I'll directly smash you into meat patties. Ho Fei stares at the 4 of them and rebukes angrily. His tyrannical aura is very frightening. The aura of a divine beast is no joke. However, Chap and the others are not powerful enough to tell that Ho Fei is a divine beast. Generally, divine beasts are distinguished by their appearances and other characteristics. Ho Fei's fiery-eyed water ape is really too rare. According to Uncle Lon, he is the only one in the entire underwater world of Zuyoists. The others have never seen him before, so naturally, they don't know Ho Fei's background. I'm Chap, the vice master of the Red Blood Cave. This thing belongs to my Red Blood Cave. Didn't you hear me? Chap's voice rises. His words contain absolute arrogance. Chap. Red Blood Cave? On one side, Chinyu says with a cold laugh. Chap and the others are top-level figures in the Blood Red Ridge. Normally, who dares to fight with them? But now these 2 people in front of them seem to not take them seriously at all. How could a vice cave master and 4 protectors tolerate such humiliation? Attack! Chap suddenly shouts. Kaka, you've come. Before Baiyin and the others can attack, Ho Fei already squawks excitedly and charges at them, while brandishing his black stick. What kind of status does Ho Fei have? He is a middle-stage Yuanying divine beast. Of the several people in front of them, the strongest Chap and Baiyin are only middle-stage Yuanying. Ran Ran and Musu are only early-stage Yuanying. That Yezhong is only late-stage Jin Dan. Of course, Yezhong's real power is actually a bit stronger than Ran Ran and Musu's. A middle-stage Yuanying divine beast is comparable to a Dongshu stage expert. Boom! The black stick cuts through the water current with a tremendous force and smashes loudly on Baiyin's 2 daggers. It even bends the daggers and smashes directly on Baiyin's body. Baiyin vomits a mouthful of blood and is sent flying. Kaka, delightful, delightful. Ho Fei shouts excitedly. Previously, no matter if it was against Chinyu or the demonic beasts in the inner valley, Ho Fei did not dare to use his full strength for fear of injuring people. At this moment he has no scruples. Just now, he waved his stick to his heart's content. Chap, Ran Ran, Musu and Yezhong's complexion changed greatly. One stick sent Baiyin, a middle-stage Yuanying, flying? Baiyin doesn't even have the strength to resist. Kaka, come again. Ho Fei's eyes brighten. In an instant, his black stick turns into 5 or 6 stick shadows and smashes toward Zhuangzhong. Zhuangzhong utters a loud shout. He stretches out his hand and a huge shield appears. The stick shadows smash onto the shield. With a loud bang, Yezhong's whole body is smashed into the mountain rocks. Stop, stop, it's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Chap shouts loudly. One more time. Ho Fei doesn't care what Chap shouts and smashes his stick again. Chinyu is also amazed at the speed of Ho Fei's black stick. He only feels that the moment Ho Fei exerts force, the black stick is already in front of him. Its strength and speed have reached a terrifying level. Ho Fei suddenly has a trace of an evil smile at the corner of his mouth. Unexpectedly, when the stick smashes over, he exerts force from his waist and suddenly shakes the black stick. The black stick immediately bends slightly and then suddenly shakes back and forth in 2 directions. Bang! 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 That stick just happens to be in between Ran Ran and Musu. The black stick smashes back and forth on the 2's bodies. The 2's demonic elemental energy is simply unable to withstand that kind of heavy blow, and they are smashed back and forth. Eat Master Ho's stick. Ho Fei suddenly jumps up and exerts all his strength to swing the black stick towards Chap's head. In an instant, Chap transforms into a 100-meter-long huge blood-red aquatic python. However, before he can react, Ho Fei's black stick has already arrived at his head. No, to be exact, the black stick is still a finger away from the blood-red aquatic python's head. Whoosh whoosh. Due to the strong wind caused by its extreme speed, the blood-red aquatic python blinked its red eyes and stared blankly at the black stick that was only a finger's length away from its head. Only then did it come to its senses and hastily transform back into its human form. Chap also knows that the opponent spared his life, or else he would have been smashed to death. I'm Chap. Seeing such an expert like Mr. I'm really unable to restrain my joy. Just now I was too reckless. Seeing Chap's quick change in attitude, even the grim Chin can't help but reveal a faint smile. Since Chap is acting like this, the other 4 guardians also begin to flatter him. Chin secretly praises Ho Fei in his heart for knowing the severity of the situation. Beating Chap up is one thing, but if he kills him, then Shahon, who is backing him, will have to get involved. Shahon is not only a Dongshu stage expert, but also a blood-red aquatic python. Even Ho Fei is not sure if he can defeat a Dongshu stage blood-red aquatic python. Ho Fei seems to enjoy the other party's flattery very much. Gradually, he even reveals his identity, and even calls him brother. Brother Ho Fei, do you have a place to stay in the blood-red ridge? Chap immediately asks after rolling his eyes. Ho Fei says carelessly, no, I don't. If I did, I wouldn't be wandering around here. I came here with my big brother. There are indeed many Zuyoists in the blood-red ridge, much more than in other places. It's not bad to stay here. Chap immediately says smilingly, ah, in that case, you can stay in my red blood cave. Brother Ho Fei, you're very powerful, so you're more than qualified to be a guardian of my red blood cave. Once you become a guardian, I'll directly assign you 1,000 guards. What do you think? Oh, a guardian. Ho Fei's eyes brighten. He seems to be a bit tempted. He suddenly looks at Chap and says, this matter depends on my big brother Lu Xing. If he agrees, then I'll agree. In the Zuyoist world, power is everything. Seeing Ho Fei's amazing power, Chap naturally wants to rope him in. Now that he hears Ho Fei's words and remembers that just now Qin Yu and the Ran fought each other, he knows that Qin Yu should not be weaker than an ordinary guardian. Therefore, he immediately has a plan. Brother Lu Xing, if you think highly of my red blood cave, please also be a guardian of my red blood cave. What do you think? You and your brother will be free and unfettered together. I guarantee that nobody in this area of 8 million li will dare to provoke you. Chap says confidently. Oh, a guardian? Qin Yu looks at Chap with a faint smile on his face. Chapter 119. In that instant, Qin Yu thought of many things. Was he going to enter the red blood cave and become a protector? Brother Lu Xing. Chap looked at Qin Yu expectantly. Qin Yu glanced at Ho Fei and said indifferently, since Vice Cave Master is so sincere, and Fei wants to be a protector, I won't stop him. Alright, I agree to this matter. After Qin Yu finished saying those words, he stopped talking. Chap was always a little afraid of Qin Yu, especially Qin Yu's aura, which was like a black hole that could swallow everything. It always made people feel uneasy and tremble. Rather than dealing with Qin Yu, Chap was more willing to deal with Ho Fei. Although Ho Fei was easily angered, he was easy to talk to as long as he had something he liked. Haha, brother Ho Fei, brother Lu Xing, follow me. Chap led the 2 experts and flew towards the red blood cave. At this moment, Chap was very happy. The great powers of the underwater world were not passed down by their ancestors. They were established through strength. The stronger one was, the higher one's position would be. Chap judged that Ho Fei's strength was definitely comparable to the first protector, Horned Dragon Tung Bai. Chap, Qin Yu, and Ho Fei flew in front, while Baiyin, Ran Musu, and Yezhong flew behind. The 13 protectors were also divided into small groups. Baiyin and the other 3 were a small group. Now that there were 2 new protectors, they had to think about their future. Baiyin, that Lu Xing is easy to deal with. His strength is about the same as mine. But that monkey, Ran said to Baiyin. Baiyin rubbed his chin and pondered for a moment before saying, don't provoke that Ho Fei for the time being. That monkey is too strong. Perhaps only Tung Bai can compete with that monkey. As for Lu Xing, humph, that guy. Bai Yin's words were full of disdain for Qin Yu. Don't be too careless. It's better to be careful. That Lu Xing should have practiced a special cultivation method. You can tell from the fact that he doesn't emit even the slightest bit of aura. I think his attack must be very strange. Zhuang Zhong reminds him on one side. Mu Su said disdainfully. Let's not care about them. Let's think about what the Vice Cave Master said. 1,000 protectors. Only 5,000 protectors in total. Where did they come from? Immediately, the other protectors fell silent. Each of the protectors valued the protectors under their control very much. Firstly, the protectors could more or less tell the strength of a person. Secondly, the more subordinates they had, the higher their status would be. Each of the 13 protectors had a different number of protectors. For example, the first protector Horned Dragon Tung Bai. Although he was only one person, he had 1,000 protectors out of the 5,000 protectors. This was strength. It also represented his status. Big brother, I have an urgent matter. Chap stood outside the secret room and shouted. He was a little dissatisfied in his heart. Big brother is too much. He always goes into closed-door training. And when he is in closed-door training, he doesn't allow anyone to disturb him. He doesn't even bring a transmitter. Every time he asked to see Shahon, he had to stand outside the door and shout like this. Along with a series of noises, the stone door was opened. Shahon walked out with a cold face. Seeing Chap, he asked loudly. Second bro, I just started closed-door training. Why are you making a fuss outside? What's the matter? Tell me quickly. Even though Shahon was angry, since Chap came to see him, it was definitely not a small matter. Big brother, I invited 2 protectors, Chap said with a mysterious expression. And one of them is very strong. Shahon's eyes immediately brightened. In the underwater world of Zooists, the more protectors the better. For the major powers, they would like to invite as many protectors as they can. After all, protectors have the offensive power of at least Yuanying stage experts. The more protectors they have, the more powerful they will be. Very strong. How strong is he? Shahon was overjoyed in his heart. He had obtained the Black Jade Box. He believed that one day, he would be able to stand in opposition to the 3 major forces. However, in order to do so, he needed enough troops and enough experts. The thing he lacked the most right now was a super expert. Me, Bai Yin, and the others are a group of 4. There are 5 of us in total. Don't you think we're very strong? But even though we joined hands, we were defeated by that guy in just a short while. We simply didn't have the power to fight back. I feel that guy isn't weaker than Tung Bai, Chap said proudly. He is naturally very happy to have invited such an expert to be his protectors. Not weaker than Tung Bai. A smile appeared on Shahon's face uncontrollably. In the past, Shahon spent a lot of energy to make Tung Bai his protector. Now he has obtained an expert at Tung Bai's level. Chap said smilingly. Big brother, don't think about it. Come with me. You have to prepare to officially grant them the title of protector, and give them the Blood-Red Blood command cards. Only the Cave Master has the right to grant Blood-Red Blood command cards. After all, Chap is only the Vice Cave Master. Such an important thing as announcing a protector has to be done by the Cave Master himself. All right, I'll go prepare the Blood-Red Blood command cards. You immediately gather all the protectors and squad leaders in the main hall. I'll be right there. At the moment Shahon is in high spirits. He directly goes to the treasure house in the rear hall. The appointment of protectors is an important thing. Not only the 13 protectors, but also some squad leaders have to gather in the main hall. Logically speaking, there should be 50 squad leaders in a squad of 100 guards. However, quite a few members of the squad are chasing after Qin Yu outside. The 2 adjacent courtyards in the eastern part of the Red Blood Cave have become the residences of Qin Yu and Ho Fei in the Red Blood Cave. Each courtyard house has 3 female Zooists. These female Zooists are very seductive, and at the same time very obedient. The 10-odd courtyards in the eastern part share a garden. Qin Yu and Ho Fei are sitting at a stone table on either side of the garden, chatting and laughing with each other. Congratulations. I am Xiuming. This is my second brother Ba Jian. This is my third brother Bashan. We three brothers are also the protectors of the Red Blood Cave. Three almost identical large men wearing dark blue armor come over and greet Qin Yu and Ho Fei. Ho Fei's eyes brighten. He says with strange laughter, "Black Tortoise? I'm Ho Fei. This is my big brother Lu Xing. You three brothers must be very good at defense. When are you going to exchange pointers with me?" The three brothers' faces all change color. Ba Ming hurriedly says smilingly, "Brother Ho Fei, we've already heard about how formidable you are. Even that Yezhong's heaven-raising armor couldn't resist your attack, so we definitely won't be able to either. You'd better spare us." The three Ba brothers are very scoundrels, so they directly admit defeat. Disappointing. Ho Fei is very disappointed. Haha, Ba Ming, you three unexpectedly also admit defeat so straightforwardly. This is really rare. But brother Ho Fei is too powerful, so I can't blame you three. Bain walks over smilingly from the distance. Ran, Mu Su and Yezhong are with him. The three Ba brothers take a look at Bain and snort coldly, but they say nothing. Oh my, there are so many people here today. Who's this handsome man? Is he the guardian who just arrived? Two enchanting beauties walk over. One of them is dressed in cyan, while the other is dressed in red. The cyan-clothed woman says laughingly, "I'm Yin Qing. Nice to meet you too." The other red-clothed woman also says charmingly, "I'm Shi Yan. Nice to meet you too." Haha. Who are you two snake girls trying to seduce this time? Ah, haha. Along with loud laughter, two big men walk out one after another. With a sweep of his holy sense, Qin Yu discovers that they are actually two tiger sharks. Wu Tong, Wu Feng. The two big men immediately introduce themselves. "My big brother is Lu Xing. I'm Ho Fei." Ho Fei says casually. He casually counts and says, "Well, there are 4 Bain's group, 3 black turtles, 2 tiger sharks and 2 beauties. That's a total of 11 people. Who are the other 2? At this time loud laughter rings out. "Wu Tong and Wu Feng, you didn't even wait for me. Haha, I'm late. I'm Sang Emo, nice to meet you too." Sang Emo, who is dressed in a red robe, walks over with a big laugh. Qin Yu, who has been sitting aside, slightly raises his head and casts a cold look at Sang Emo. "Sang Emo, I'm Lu Xing." Qin Yu stands up, which is rare for him. His eyes are completely focused on Sang Emo. There is an unfathomable smile on his face. Others simply can't understand why Qin Yu is smiling at this moment. The smile on Sang Mo's face stiffens. Just now when other people came, Qin Yu didn't say a word. Moreover, Qin Yu's whole person gives others a cold feeling. These people unconsciously didn't say anything to Qin Yu. At this moment, seeing Qin Yu and Sang Emo talking, they are a little curious. "Sang Emo protector?" Qin Yu continues to shout. Sang Emo suddenly wakes up. He stares at Qin Yu a few times and then says with a smile, "Brother Lu Xing, when I saw you just now, it was as if I saw an old friend, so I forgot myself." Sang Emo lies without batting an eye. Qin Yu also smiles, and then sits down again to drink tea alone. Sang Mo's mind is constantly thinking. Just now, when he saw Qin Yu for the first time, he had a feeling in his heart that he should know this person in front of him. However, no matter how he thinks, he can't think of when he has seen this Lu Xing protector in front of him. This Lu Xing is so strange. If I've seen him before, I definitely won't forget him. However, I've definitely seen him before. Sang Emo is very sure. This is the feeling from the bottom of his heart. There is no doubt at all. At this moment, a middle-aged man in black comes over. "Brother Ho Fei, Brother Lu Xing, this is Boss Tingbei. Boss Tingbei's strength is very tyrannical. I reckon he's about to reach the Dongshu stage." Yin Qing says with a smile. He even winks at Tingbei. Tingbei's whole body has a cold and fierce aura, which makes people unconsciously tremble in fear. Tingbei looks at Ho Fei. His eyes suddenly brighten and he says, "Tingbei." Tingbei's aura unexpectedly starts to rise. Tingbei discovers Ho Fei's extraordinariness at a glance. His fighting spirit also rises in his heart. Will Ho Fei be afraid? "Kaka, you're the Tingbei they've been talking about." "Not bad, I'm Ho Fei." Ho Fei laughs. He doesn't care about Tingbei's aura at all. At the same time, Ho Fei's body also emits a terrifying aura like that of a matchless ferocious beast. Feeling Ho Fei's and Tung Bai's auras, the other protectors all stare at each other. It's over. From today onwards, another super expert has appeared among the protectors. They can only stand aside. Very well, this area is too small. After this matter is over, we'll find a place to fight. Tung Bai says simply. Ho Fei shakes his head. He waves the black stick in his hand twice and says arrogantly, Kaka, no matter when, as long as you come to find me, I'll fight with you. Kaka. Ho Fei's eyes simply don't conceal the excitement in them. Horned dragon, extraordinary talent. A horned dragon at the late Yuanying stage. If I don't enter the berserk state, he'll be enough for me to fight with all my strength. I'm really looking forward to it. Ho Fei thinks to himself. He licks his lips with his scarlet tongue, and his eyes glitter. At this time, Sang Mo, who has been thinking, suddenly opens his eyes wide. Xiaxionist, yes, it's that Xiaxionist. Sang Mo suddenly realizes that the feeling this person gives him is similar to the feeling he had with the Xiaxionist in the past. Even though the temperaments of these two people are very different. Sang Mo looks at the current Qinyu. A thought suddenly occurs to him. What a strange practice method, swallowing all auras. Nobody can tell if he's a Xiaxionist or a Zuyuist. After all, he has neither the aura of a Xiaxionist nor a Zuyuist. Based on the feeling in his heart, Sang Mo starts to suspect Qinyu a little. Qinyu has no aura, so even though he cannot be sure that he is a Xiaxionist, it is also possible that Qinyu is that Xiaxionist. Brother Lu Xing. Sang Mo walks towards Qinyu smilingly. Qinyu slightly raises his eyes then continues to drink his tea. He simply ignores Sang Mo. As long as I fight with him, I'll definitely be able to tell. No matter how a person changes, the nature of the energy he has been practicing for tens or hundreds of years won't change. Sang Mo is very sure in his heart. If the person in front of him is really that Xiaxionist, the nature of his internal energy will definitely not change, even if his appearance and temperament change. Sang Mo says smilingly. Brother Lu Xing is Brother Ho Fei's big brother, so your power must be extraordinary. I, Sang Mo, also want to exchange pointers with you. Is that okay? Qinyu gives Sang Mo a glance. You? Sang Mo still responds with a smile. Qinyu suddenly stands up and says coldly. All right, I accept your challenge. Immediately, all of the guardians at the scene start to watch attentively. Sang Mo also says with an expression full of joy. Then Brother Lu Xing, please get into action. Qinyu's eyes suddenly brightens. Immediately, a black flying sword floats above Qinyu's head. Seeing Qinyu have a black flying sword above his head, Sang Mo is slightly disappointed. He remembers that the Xiaxionist he was chasing didn't have a black flying sword. Illusion Development Sword Art's third stance. Phantom Gale. Following Qinyu's hand seals, the black flying sword immediately flashes and disappears. Everyone only sees several black gusts of wind whizzing past. Sang Mo has no time to dodge at all, and is blown away by the black gusts of wind. Sang Mo's clothes have been completely ripped apart, making him look as if he were naked. His hair is also disheveled. Haha. Sang Mo, that place of yours is really white. Ran Ran laughs loudly. Yin Qing covers her mouth and laughs. Sang Mo Protector's place is as thin as a needle. As thin as a needle, waha. Ho Fei holds his stomach and laughs loudly. Everyone else also laughs loudly. You overestimate yourself. After saying this, Qinyu sits down once more, minding his own business and slowly sipping his tea, completely ignoring Sang Mo's ugly expression. Chapter 120. It's not hot energy but cold and corrosive energy? Sang Mo is very disappointed, but he can't believe it, because that indescribable feeling in his heart makes him suspect Qinyu. But in a flash, Sang Mo wakes up from his contemplation. Seeing himself in such a disgraceful state, and hearing the laughter of the other guardians, Sang Mo's face immediately changes color. Immediately, his demonic elemental energy surges out and wraps around his body. He then uses his agility skill and rushes directly into his courtyard house. Ho Fei points at Sang Mo's courtyard house and laughs out loud. Ha ha! A big man is so white. That's really funny. Oh, right, you just said something about being comparable to a fine needle. What is it? Everybody laughs again. Yan Qing and Shi Yan also cover their mouths and laugh. Not far away. The maids who are waiting for orders also cover their mouths and laugh. At this moment, only Qin Yu is quietly drinking tea, neither laughing nor speaking. Glancing at Sang Mo's courtyard house, the corners of Qin Yu's mouth turn up slightly. How can Qin Yu not understand Sang Mo's thoughts? That day, Qin Yu was prepared to hide his identity, but he had already thought of many problems that could expose his identity. Qin Yu understands that a person's spiritual feelings are the most mysterious. Take Qin Yu and Xiao He for example. Although they are very far away from each other, they can still feel each other's feelings. Qin Yu was once worried that Sang Mo might suspect his identity. Therefore, Qin Yu was already prepared. Qin Yu's stellar fire has two sides. After going through a formation, it can be changed into solar fire and lunar fire. Qin Yu's star energy can also change its attribute after going through a formation. Qin Yu uses purple gold to set up a formation restriction on the flaming sword. The power of the stars was nurtured in the flaming sword. As long as it passed through the formation, it would be automatically converted into the energy of the Yin nature. Of course, if Qin Yu wanted to, he could set up the opposite array formation and convert the power of the stars into sun-attributed energy. Haha, all the protectors have gathered here. The cave master has ordered for everyone to gather in the main hall. The appointment of the protectors will begin immediately. Brother Ho Fei and Brother Lu Xing, please prepare yourselves. And where's Sang Mo protector? Chap asked curiously. Yan Qing giggled and said, Sang Mo protector just sparred with protector Lu Xing. He probably couldn't take the blow after losing. Big sister, why don't you go and comfort Sang Mo's broken heart? Shi Yan smiled at Yan Qing. Yan Qing pressed on Shi Yan's forehead and said, if you want to go, why don't you go? I have no interest in Sang Mo. After some noise, the 13 guardians, Qin Yu and Ho Fei entered the central hall. As Qin Yu walked into the main hall, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In terms of size and scale, the main hall of the Red Blood Cave was even bigger than the main hall of the Imperial Palace on the Qianlong continent. Just by looking at the huge golden pillars, one could tell. The Imperial Palace also had golden pillars, but they were made of iron on the inside. These golden pillars, however, were the real deal. With a smile on his face, Shahon strode onto the platform and sat down directly. He looked down at the protectors and more than 20 squad captains below. Greetings, Cave Master. Chap and the 13 guardians immediately bowed. Qin Yu and Ho Fei also followed suit and bowed slightly. As for the 20 or so squad captains behind the crowd, they knelt down on one knee and were very respectful. Shahon waved his hand casually and said, get up. The 20 squad captains hurriedly got up. In fact, there were 50 squad captains, but most of them went outside to chase after Qin Yu. Where are Lu Xing and Ho Fei? Step forward and let's talk. Shahon said with a smile. At the moment, Shahon's attitude was very good. But the other 13 guardians all knew how cold and merciless Shahon was. Qin Yu and Ho Fei stepped forward. Cave Master, I am Ho Fei. Ho Fei raised his head and looked at Shahon without the slightest bit of respect. Shahon looked at Ho Fei and scanned him with his holy sense. He couldn't help but feel very satisfied. He knew that Ho Fei was an expert comparable to Horned Dragon Ting Bai. However, when he looked at Qin Yu again, he was secretly shocked. Qin Yu's ability to absorb the aura around him was indeed very frightening. I'm Lu Xing, Qin Yu said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Lu Xing, what kind of technique have you learned? Why don't you emit any aura? Shahon asked. In fact, Shahon was also a bit suspicious. After all, in terms of the profoundness of mental cultivation methods, Zuyuists are inferior to Xiuxianists and Xiamoists. For a Zuyuist to have such a mysterious technique, this Zuyuist's master is definitely not simple. This is a secret technique of my school. It can't be taught to outsiders. Qin Yu said directly. Qin Yu was also a bit worried. This Shahon's power is extremely high. Now I don't have the aura of a Zooist or a Zyuxianist. I don't have any aura at all. If he suspects my identity, it'll be a bit troublesome. Judging from Shahon's expression, Qingyu simply couldn't tell what Shahon was actually thinking. Oh, in that case, forget it. Shahong's face is still full of smiles. It seems he is not angry at all. He only gives Qingyu a meaningful look, then takes a look at Sang Mo. Qingyu is slightly frightened in his heart, but there is no change on his face. This Shahon knows what happened just now. Has he guessed something? Qingyu pondered in his heart. But he was not too nervous, because if they couldn't beat him, they could just run away. Moreover, with the divine beast Ho Fei present, it would not be so easy for Shahon to deal with them. It's really my Red Blood Cave's honor to have you brothers Ho Fei and Lu Xing as my Dharma protectors. This is the Red Blood Order, the Red Blood Cave's Dharma Protectors Medallion. With this medallion, no one within a radius of 8 million li will dare to provoke you. Shahon smilingly took out 2 medallions from his bosom. At this moment, the female attendant next to him took the medallions and walked over to the side of Qingyu and Ho Fei. Guardians, please accept this Red Blood Order. From now on, you'll be the 14th and 15th guardians of my Red Blood Cave. Shahon said with a smile. The ranking of the guardians wasn't based on their skills, but on the order of their duties. Qingyu and Ho Fei immediately accepted the Red Blood Order. Congratulations, Brother Ho Fei and Brother Lu Xing. Teng Bai was the first to stand up. He glanced at Qingyu, then focused his gaze on Ho Fei. Brother Ho Fei, don't forget our agreement just now. Haha, don't worry. I'll keep you company anytime. Ho Fei didn't care at all. The other 13 guardians also congratulated them. Although some of them were just putting on an act, they still had to put on an act. Alright, let's talk about the next matter. Everyone knows the rules of my Red Blood Cave. Every guardian has his own personal bodyguard. Now that we have 2 new guardians, Lu Xing and Ho Fei, we'll have to adjust the number of guardians. Shahon said in a clear voice. Everyone in the main hall quieted down immediately. The 13 guardians looked at each other and didn't say anything. This was the most important matter for this gathering in the main hall. The Red Blood Order was just a symbol of status. The personal bodyguard was the most important thing. Everyone was quietly waiting for Shahon's order. Second brother, announced the personal bodyguards of each guardian. Shahon said indifferently. Chap stepped forward and said, Ba Ming and the other Black Turtle brothers have 800 bodyguards. Wu Tong and Wu Feng have 600 bodyguards. Zhang Yimo has 300 bodyguards. Yin Qing and Shi Yan have 600 bodyguards. Baiyin Ranran, Mu Su and Yezhong have 1200 bodyguards. Guardian Teng Bai has 1000 bodyguards. The remaining 500 bodyguards are under my direct command. In fact, Vice Masters and Cave Masters don't need bodyguards, because as long as they have the Red Blood Order, they can mobilize bodyguards at will. Although those bodyguards are directly under the Guardians, Vice Masters and Cave Masters have the right to mobilize them. Big brother, how do you think we should distribute them? Chap said respectfully. In the main hall, the 13 guardians listened carefully to Shahon's order. Qingyu and Ho Fei also listened carefully. Although they didn't care too much, the number of bodyguards would determine their status in the Red Blood Cave in the future. These bodyguards would listen to their orders and be at their disposal. Chap said 1,000 bodyguards last time. Let's see how they can squeeze out 1,000 bodyguards. Qingyu scanned with his holy sense. Everyone's expression was under Qingyu's control. Except for Teng Bai, who didn't care too much. The others seemed to be very nervous. Second brother, I remember that after third brother died, his 500 bodyguards were distributed to the guardians. How were they distributed at that time? Shahon asked. Chap thought for a while then said. After third brother died, among the 500 bodyguards, 100 were given to Wu Tong and Wu Feng, 100 were given to Yin Qing and her sister, and the remaining 300 were given to Baiyin and the other 3. Hearing this, everybody understood a little bit. It seems that the extra bodyguards they got at that time are going to be spat out. Yin Qing and her sister, Wu Feng, Wu Tong and Baiyin all had ugly expressions on their faces. In order to get these bodyguards, they negotiated with the others and made a lot of losses to get them. If they were to be taken back now, their losses would be in vain. A faint smile appeared on Qin Yu's face. He also guessed Shahon's idea. All right, take back those 500 bodyguards and add your 500 bodyguards to the total of 1,000 bodyguards. These 1,000 bodyguards will be jointly managed by the two guardians, Hou Fei and Lu Xing. Does anybody have any objections? Shahon scanned the crowd. What else could the 13 guardians say? Naturally, they accepted the order. Very good. Then let's make arrangements for those 1,000 bodyguards after everybody goes back. Shahon said with a smile. Right at this moment, a squad leader ran in from outside. With a panicked expression he said, Cave Master, something bad has happened. Dead, they're all dead. Don't be so flustered. Tell me clearly. Cha Hong shouted coldly. However, Cha Hong's complexion had already turned ashen. When he heard dead, they're all dead, he had a bad premonition. His Highness protectors also had a bad premonition. Everyone turned to look at the captain of the guard squad. The squad leader took a deep breath then said, Cave Master, when we received your order to go out and hunt down that black eagle, all the Ziyuists within a radius of 8 million li naturally became our eyes and ears. Very soon we discovered that black eagle. Hearing this, Qin Yu's heart jumped. Hunt down the black eagle? They want to hunt down Xiaohei. Qin Yu ponders extremely fast in his mind. Why do they want to hunt down Xiaohei? Logically, both Sang Imo and Shahon should be hunting me down. Suddenly, Qin Yu has a flash of inspiration and understands the matter. Qin Yu gives a forced smile in his heart. Xiaohei was definitely hunted down because of him. Sang Imo knows about the relationship between him and Xiaohei, so he definitely wants to hunt down Xiaohei to lure him out. Tell me, what happened after you discovered the black eagle? Shouts Shahon with an ashen face. The squad leader swallowed his saliva then continued. Afterwards, 50 members of my squad and several 10 Ziyuists in the vicinity joined hands to hunt down that black eagle. Who could have thought? Who could have thought that the black eagle was really too terrifying, too terrifying? The leader of that 50-member squad was the vice captain of my squad. Before he died, he only had time to send me a message. Hey Guang, they're all dead. Half a day later, I received messages from some Ziyuists who found their corpses, telling me that the squad and several 10 Ziyuists were all dead. None of them survived. At the moment, the squad leader finds it somewhat hard to believe. The entire main hall immediately becomes oppressive. For so many years, nobody in the Red Blood Cave territory has dared to kill the guards of the Red Blood Cave so arrogantly. Those powerful experts of the Yuanying stage also know the severity of the matter. Once they kill the guards, they will offend Shahon, and the result will be disastrous. Qin Yu, however, lets out a sigh of relief in his heart. Luckily, Xiaohei is all right. Chap takes a step forward and says, Big brother, that black eagle was very powerful. It probably had the attack power of a middle Yuanying stage expert. Those guards were not strong enough, so there was nothing we could do even if they were killed. To deal with that black eagle, we had to send out the guardians. Shahon also nods. Indeed, at this moment, they have no choice but to send out the guardians. The guardians exist precisely to deal with those experts. This time we lost some guards. When this matter is over, we'll recruit 250 more guards. 50 of them will be added to the squad, and the other 200 will be rewarded for capturing the black eagle. There are hints of killing intent in Shahon's eyes. Daring to kill his guards, Shahon's killing intent has been aroused in his heart. Your subordinate is willing to go. Bain takes a step forward and says. This Bain is a middle Yuanying stage expert, similar in power to Chap. He knows that Chap has defeated the Black Eagle before, so he naturally has confidence in himself. Moreover, he is not alone. Ran Musu and Yezhong also say, your subordinate is willing to go. Qin Yu immediately starts to feel anxious. Bain and the others cannot withstand a single blow from Hou Fei, but the strength of Bain and the others is definitely not to be underestimated. When Qin Yu fought with Ran, he determined that the Ran's strength is similar to his own. Bain has reached the middle Yuanying stage. Is Xiaohei confident? With 4 experts besieging him, Does Xiao He have a chance? Cave Master. Sang Emo actually takes a step forward and says, Cave Master has allocated 1,000 guards to Enforcer Ho Fei and Enforcer Lu Xing. Enforcer Ho Fei is strong, so no one has any objections. However, it is hard to say how strong Enforcer Lu Xing is. I think Enforcer Lu Xing should take this opportunity to capture that black eagle and display his strength. Sang Emo says while looking at Qin Yu with a smile. I want to see how you will deal with this. If you want to save that black eagle, you will probably have to betray Cave Master. At that time, you can just wait for your death. If you listen to Cave Master's orders, you can watch that black eagle die. I want to see how you choose. Unless you are not that immortal cultivator. Choose. Does Qin Yu even need to choose? Sang Emo, you bastard, you are courting death. Ho Fei's fiery eyes flash, and his entire body emits a terrifying aura of a beast. The black stick in his hand is directly taken out, as if he wants to kill Sang Emo on the spot. Your subordinate is willing to go. Qin Yu takes a step forward and says with a smile, then glances at Sang Emo. I will do as Sang Emo Protector says and capture that black eagle to display my strength. Chapter 121. Sang Mo's pupils contracted slightly. Clearly, Sang Emo was surprised at how easily Qin Yu had accepted the mission. But after pondering for a moment, Sang Emo came to a conclusion. Lu Xing, I want to see if you'll really go kill Black Hawk. There were two possible outcomes for Qin Yu to accept this mission. The first was that Qin Yu killed Black Hawk, and then Sang Emo would have no choice. The second was that Qin Yu suddenly changed sides and killed the other protectors. If it was the second outcome, even if Sang Emo didn't have any proof that this protector Lu Xing was the immortal cultivator, Sang Emo still wouldn't be able to prove it. He could also use the crime of betrayal to have Shahon execute Qin Yu. Ha ha! Ho Fei let out a series of strange sounds, his entire body emanating the aura of a savage beast. He stared fixedly at Sang Emo, and then suddenly looked towards Qin Yu and said, Big brother, if that bastard Sang Emo tells you to go then go. Damn it, who the hell does this Sang Emo think he is? I'll smash him flat with a single blow of my staff. And then Ho Fei looked towards Shahon, raising his head and saying, Cave Master, the Marquis is giving face to Brother Chap by being a protector. 1,000 guards? Based on my abilities alone, the Marquis is qualified to have them. Can't Big Brother and I jointly control 1,000 guards? What's the point of showing off our abilities? If you Cave Master feel that my big brother isn't capable, Kaka, how about this? Big brother, and I will immediately leave. I don't care about being a protector. Ho Fei didn't seem to care at all. He then turned his head and didn't look at Shahon at all. Instead, he looked towards Chap, saying sincerely, Brother Chap, it's not that I, Ho Fei, don't want to give you face. It's just that I can't stand this vexation. Chap hurriedly said, Brother Ho Fei, don't be impatient. I know you have a straightforward temper. Big brother hasn't said anything yet, has he? Shahon frowned slightly and looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu first looked at Ho Fei and said, Fei, don't be anxious. Wasn't it just to hunt down a black eagle? Since we have become the guardians of the Red Blood Cave, we have to do something practical. Otherwise, I'll feel bad if I don't do anything when I'm a guardian. With that, Qin Yu glanced at Sang Emo. Sang Emo looked at Qin Yu with a smile and said, Enforcer Lu Xing is so eager to serve Cave Master. We should also learn from Enforcer Lu Xing's loyalty. Shut up, no one asked you to speak. Damn it, I just don't like you. Ho Fei's fiery eyes flickered with an ominous glint. The black stick in his hand looked like it was ready to strike at any moment. Sang Mo's expression changed slightly when he heard this, but he didn't dare to say anything. Qin Yu looked at Shahon and said, Cave Master, this matter is settled. This subordinate will definitely capture that black eagle for Cave Master. Ho Fei glared at Sang Emo and didn't say anything else. Haha, good Enforcer Lu Xing is so loyal. This Cave Master is really happy. Baiyin Ran Musu, Ye Zhong, and Lu Xing, the 5 enforcers, listen up. Shahon's voice suddenly became dignified and loud. Baiyin and the other 3, as well as Qin Yu, immediately bowed and obeyed. This cave master orders the 5 of you to set out together in half a day. You must capture that black eagle. At this critical moment, you must not hesitate to kill it. Shahon said sternly, his voice filled with killing intent. Killing 50 guards, this already made Shahon extremely angry. Qin Yu, Bayin, Ran Musu, and Yezhong bowed and said in unison, "This subordinate obeys." Shahon ordered them to set out in half a day to give them half a day to prepare. Qin Yu and Ho Fei directly returned to their own residences. Bayin and the other 3 also returned to their own residences. However, the 4 of them didn't return to their own courtyards, but gathered in Bayin's courtyard. Outside each courtyard in the eastern district of the Red Blood Cave, beautiful maids were shuttling through the corridors with various kinds of food. Sang Mo, who was dressed in a red robe, didn't return to his own courtyard. Instead, he walked towards Bayin's courtyard. When a maid dressed in green saw Sang Mo, she hurriedly stood at the side of the corridor and said respectfully, "Enforcer." Sang Mo snorted. He didn't even look at the maid, and directly walked towards Bayin's courtyard. In Bayin's courtyard, Bayin, Ran, and the other 3 were gathered here. They were laughing and chatting with each other when they saw Sang Mo walk in. Among the 4, Musu snorted coldly. He seemed to have an unfriendly expression. "Sang Mo greets all of you." Sang Mo cupped his hands and said to the 4. Bayin still had a smile on his face. Ran and Yezhong didn't seem to care at all. However, Musu sneered and said, "Great clan leader Sang Mo, what kind of auspicious day is it today? You actually came to our place. It really makes me very nervous." Among the 13 enforcers, Musu and Sang Mo's original bodies were octopuses. However, Sang Mo belonged to the Sang clan of the octopuses, while Musu belonged to the Mu clan of the octopuses. The 2 clans were vying for the position of the number 1 clan of the octopuses. The enmity between them had been going on for a long time. Sang Mo's chest was filled with anger. However, Sang Mo immediately suppressed his anger. "Clan leader Musu, I came here because of your life and death. If you don't care about your own life and the lives of the other 3 enforcers, then I'll leave." Sang Mo finished and looked at the other enforcers. Musu laughed sinisterly and said, "Oh, life and death? Listening to your words, it seems that you're doing this for our own good. You want us to keep our lives. When did you become so nice, Sang Mo?" "In my impression, you can't wait for us to die." "Shut up. I can't wait for you to die, not the other enforcers." Sang Mo's eyes flashed coldly. "If it weren't for the other 3 enforcers going with us this time, why would I tell you this big secret?" "Big secret? Humph." Musu sneered. But Bayin frowned. He had heard Sang Mo say, "If it weren't for the other 3 enforcers going with us this time." From these words, he deduced that Sang Mo had most likely come for the sake of capturing the Black Hawk. If one had to say, who was the most familiar with that immortal practitioner and that Black Hawk? Without a doubt, it was Sang Mo. Perhaps this Sang Mo really does know some secrets. Bayin's heart was moved. He immediately said in a clear voice, "Musu, since Sang Mo Protector is willing to come here, we can't be rude." As soon as Bayin's words came out, Musu snorted coldly, then stood to one side. No longer speaking to Sang Mo, Bayin was the leader of the 4 of them, and also the most powerful of them all. As for his shrewdness, they all admired him. Bayin looked at Sang Mo smiling. "Sang Mo Protector, what do you mean by your words? What secret is it that concerns our lives? Let's talk inside." Sang Mo walked directly into a room. Bayin paused momentarily, then followed him into the room. At the same time, Bayin very tactfully set up a restrictive spell, preventing outsiders from investigating. "Sang Mo, what secret do you have? Speak." Sang Mo stood in the center of the room, his back facing Bayin. When he sensed that Bayin had set up a restrictive spell, he turned to look at Bayin with satisfaction. He slowly said, "That Lu Xing who just arrived, although I'm not very sure, is very likely to be that immortal cultivator. I'm sure you understand what I mean." Bayin's face changed. His first reaction upon hearing these words was to think that Sang Mo was lying to him. But then he thought, what was the point of Sang Mo lying to him? After thinking carefully, And considering that Lu Xing didn't emit any aura at all, perhaps he really was an immortal cultivator. If what Sang Mo said was true, then Bain's back was covered in cold sweat. The immortal cultivator was in cahoots with the Black Hawk. If Qin Yu suddenly attacked them when the 5 protectors were attacking the Black Hawk, given that they were unprepared, 2 of them would die in an instant. Given the Black Hawk's and Qin Yu's power, it was really possible that all 4 of them would die. Protector Bain, this is just a reminder. I'm not very sure myself, but I believe you have your own plans. Sang Mo said with a smile, then directly removed the restrictive spell, walked past Bain, and left the room. Sang Mo was very certain of Bain's character. As long as there was the slightest suspicion, the slightest danger, this Bain would definitely be fully prepared. Bain's face was gloomy, and his expression changed several times in an instant. Then he turned to look at Sang Mo, who had disappeared at the gate of the courtyard. A hint of a smile appeared at the corner of Bain's mouth. He had already made his decision. Undercurrents were surging at the bottom of the sea. Qin Yu, dressed in a black robe, was traveling extremely fast on his black flying sword. Bain, Ran, Mu Su and Yezhong were also using their own methods to travel extremely fast on the bottom of the sea. The 5 experts were traveling side by side. Ordinary Zuyoists would have avoided them long ago. This time the Red Blood Cave ordered the Green-Eyed Fish Clan's people to help monitor the Black Hawk's tracks. The Red Blood Cave was not Sang Mo originally. When Sang Mo invited 30 people of the Green-Eyed Fish Clan, he had to pay them. However, the Red Blood Cave ordered several hundred people of the Green-Eyed Fish Clan to start monitoring the Black Hawk together. Several hundred people monitoring the Black Hawk together was enough to cover an area of 1,000,000 li. Protector Lu Xing. What do you think we should do if we run into the Black Hawk? After all, there are 5 of us, so we should make a good plan. Bain flew close to Qin Yu and said smilingly at the same time. Ran, Mu Su and Yezhong also slightly moved closer to Qin Yu to listen to him. Qin Yu took a look at Bain. His gaze seemed to penetrate Bain's soul. Bain's heart couldn't help but tremble. He couldn't help being even more vigilant against this Qin Yu. Bain didn't know that Qin Yu practiced Xioma secret techniques. His use of soul force was simply incomparable to that of ordinary Xiationists, who only knew how to use soul force. Among the Devil Path secret techniques that use soul power, several of them had to be used through the eyes. In an instant, Qin Yu withdrew his gaze and said indifferently, "Protector Bain, since you already have a plan, why do you need to ask me? Among the 5 of us, Protector Bain's strength is the highest. This encirclement will be led by Protector Bain. Protector Bain only needs to give the order, and I will follow it." Bain smiled. "In that case, I will say it." Qin Yu looked at Bain. He wanted to see how this Bain was going to deal with Xiaohe. Once we discover the Black Hawk, Protector Lu Xing, Ran and Mu Su will join forces to attack. I think the 3 of you will be able to contend against the Black Hawk. Since I am the strongest, I will take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and deal the final blow. If I can capture it, I will capture it. If I can't, I will directly kill the Black Hawk. As for Yezhong as a backup, I will always guard against the unknown. Bain glanced at them and said with a smile, "Everyone, do you agree with this plan? Feel free to say it." Mu Su and Ran looked at each other then nodded. They had also heard from Shigon about the Black Hawk's strength. Not to mention the 3 of them joining forces. Even if the Black Hawk wanted to kill them, it would not be that easy. Yezhong had no objections. He was naturally happy not to take action. Where is Protector Lu Xing? Bain looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu also nodded. Henceforth, the plan was considered to have been approved. At this moment Yezhong, who was slightly behind the crowd, glanced at Qin Yu and then at Bain. A trace of coldness flashed in his eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. He returned to his honest and good-natured self. Not long after Qin Yu's group of 5 left the Red Blood Cave, Sang Mo also left the cave alone, and directly followed in the direction of Qin Yu's group. "Lu Xing, I'd like to see your true face. A person with such a strange technique like yours is unexpectedly not famous in the past. What a coincidence that Xiaxianist has disappeared." Sang Yemo won't give up until he has carefully investigated Lu Xing, Baiyin. That guy. If he finds out Lu Xing's true identity, he must give me a chance to hit him when he is down. Sang Yemo smiled sinisterly, turned into a red light, and directly chased. Sang Yemo had given the Green-Eyed Fish Clan benefits. When the Green-Eyed Fish Clan told Baiyin and the others about the Black Hawk's whereabouts, they also told Sang Yemo. Qin Yu kept flying. He could feel that everybody was getting closer and closer to Xiaohei. This Green-Eyed Fish Clan is really hateful. Xiaohei can't take human form. If he takes human form, he'll be about the same as other Zuyuists. Those Green-Eyed Fish Clan will probably find it very hard to find him. But his Black Hawk appearance is really too easy to distinguish. It's very hard to find a Black Hawk at the bottom of the sea. Qin Yu felt very helpless in his heart. This time the whole Green-Eyed Fish Clan was monitoring. Xiaohei basically could not escape from the monitoring of those fishes. Suddenly, Qin Yu's face slightly changed color. No good. Xiaohei is unexpectedly rushing towards me. Qin Yu clearly felt that Xiaohei was unexpectedly flying extremely fast towards him. Xiaohei should also have sensed that he was flying towards him. Xiaohei thought that Qin Yu was looking for him, so he also flew towards Qin Yu. In this way, he met Xiaohei even earlier. After a short while, Baiyin said with a clear laugh. The Green-Eyed Fish Clan sent a message. That Black Hawk is unexpectedly flying in our direction. Haha. There's no door to hell, but he still has to barge in. Protectors, make your preparations. This Black Eagle is not that easy to kill. We want to kill him, but he can't wait. We also don't need to be soft-hearted. Ran, whose face was half black and half white, said with a sinister laugh. Baiyin, Yezhong and Musu also burst into loud laughter, as if they were not worried about killing Xiaohei at all. Baiyin glanced at Qin Yu out of the corner of his eyes, then looked at his three brothers. Chapter 122. As the five guardians fly, they get closer and closer to the Black Eagle. The distance between the Black Eagle and Qin Yu's group is something that Baiyin and the other three guardians can only barely judge based on the information they got from the Green-Eyed Fish Clan. They are simply unable to judge accurately. However, Qin Yu can clearly sense Xiaohei's position. Now I can only rely on my holy sense to notify Xiaohei in advance, because the range of my holy sense is larger than theirs. Qin Yu's holy sense spreads out. After 3 years of practicing in the valley, Qin Yu's soul has been continuously nourished by Lu Xing's tears. Now it has already reached the peak of the late Yuanying stage. It is strange that when Qin Yu was in the valley, the heat released by Lu Xing's tears was 2 to 3 times stronger than outside. Now that Qin Yu has left the valley, the heat released by Lu Xing's tears has slowed down. Qin Yu cannot figure out why this is happening. The water current is very rapid and shoals of fish are moving about extremely fast like 5 rays of light. The Green-Eyed Fish Clan has sent a message saying that the Black Eagle is only 2,000 li away from us. Now we can encounter it at any time. Everybody stop. We'll wait here and get ready to give that Black Eagle a blow at any time. As soon as Baiyin's voice rises, the other 4 guardians all stop. The place where Qin Yu and the others were currently at was completely a vast ocean. There was no obstruction at all. It should be known that this boundless ocean is normally over 10 kilometers deep. Generally, Zuyuist palaces are built on some underwater mountain ranges, because it is very difficult to build palaces in places that are too deep. However, 10 kilometers deep is nothing. In this boundless ocean, some underwater abysses are even 100 kilometers deep or even deeper. At those depths, the water pressure alone has reached a terrifying level. Qin Yu does not have enough power to go down. Of course, at those depths, there will be even more treasures. But if he wants to collect treasures, he must have enough power to go down. Protector Lu Xing, Ran, and Musu, the 3 of you should prepare yourselves. The 3 of you will be facing the Black Eagle head-on. I, on the other hand, am preparing to launch a sneak attack and deal a fatal blow, Baiyin said directly to Qin Yu and the others. As for Qin Yu, he was pondering about his sneak attack. Among the 4 of them, Baiyin is the strongest. It's best to kill him first. The Ran was sinister and cunning. Musu was arrogant, but he was not a threat. Then Yezhong. Qin Yu glanced at Yezhong. In fact, Qin Yu had always been wary of this seemingly honest person. Yezhong was only at the late stage of Jin Dan, but he became a protector. In terms of attack power, even Ran Ran and Mu Su were not confident of defeating him. Baiyin is at the mid-stage of Yuanying, while Ran Ran and Mu Su are at the early stage of Yuanying. Sneak attacks are the strongest. Let's get rid of the strong one first, then join forces with Xiao He. It will be easier. Qin Yu glanced at Baiyin, then flew over. Seeing Qin Yu fly over, Baiyin immediately became vigilant. Baiyin's body flashed, and a silver-white battle armor appeared on Baiyin's body. At the same time, streams of demonic elemental energy flowed on Baiyin's body. Baiyin said loudly, "Although the 5 of us are attacking one person together, we must be careful. Everyone must ensure their own safety." Baiyin smiled and looked at Qin Yu. "Protector Lu Xing, are you so confident that you don't need to protect yourself?" Qin Yu's heart was filled with hatred. He did not know whether this Baiyin was intentional or not. However, if this was the case, it would be much more difficult to kill Baiyin with a sneak attack. Could it be that Baiyin is suspicious of me? Qin Yu's heart shook. If this was true, then the situation would be terrible. At the very least, Baiyin would be wary of him. If he wanted to kill Baiyin with a sneak attack, it would be much more difficult. Qin Yu pondered in his mind. In the end, he said coldly, "Protect yourself? Protector Baiyin doesn't need to worry about this." Qin Yu glanced at the other 3 people. Yezhong was also wearing a huge suit of armor on his back, but Ran Ran and Mu Su were not wearing any. Qin Yu only needed to think for a while to understand completely. Yezhong's true form was a giant crab, and Baiyin's true form was a silver-shelled shrimp. Their battle armors were innately made. It should be known that to make defensive holy weapons, firstly, many types of ores are needed, and secondly, it is very difficult. For Zuyuoists, making battle armors is really very difficult. In general, Zuyuoists are born with battle armors. Ran Ran was a black-ringed anaconda, and Mu Su was an octopus, so they were not born with battle armor. Therefore, at the moment they were only using demonic elemental energy to protect themselves at most. Alright, let's kill Ran Ran and Mu Su first. Even though Baiyin is hard to deal with, it shouldn't be a problem for us to deal with the remaining 2, if we join forces with Xiao He. Qin Yu calculated in his mind. At the same time, he pretended to be ready together with Ran Ran and Mu Su. Qin Yu, Ran Ran and Mu Su stood side by side. As soon as they saw the Black Eagle, the 3 of them would definitely rush up and attack it from all sides. "Baiyin, don't tell me we're going to let Mu Su throw away his life?" Ran Ran said to Baiyin through holy sense communication. Baiyin's face did not change in the slightest, but he replied through holy sense communication. "Mu Su is arrogant, but he's not very scheming. If we tell him this information, he'll definitely divulge it. But you, Ran Ran, are different. You're very sinister and ruthless, so your attitude towards everyone can't be considered good. Even if you don't treat Lu Xing well, Lu Xing won't suspect anything." Hearing Baiyin say that she is sinister and ruthless, the Ran Ran actually feels happy in her heart. Humph humph. Let's see whether that Lu Xing is a Xiuxianist or not. Poor Mu Su. Ran Ran said through holy sense communication. Even though she said that, in fact the Ran Ran did not care about Mu Su's life at all. Xiao He was flying towards the northwest at top speed. He had not seen Qin Yu for a long time. At this moment, he could clearly feel Qin Yu's existence, and was only a few hundred li away from him. Just as Xiao He was feeling excited in his heart. "Xiao He, stop." Qin Yu's voice rang out in Xiao He's mind through holy sense. Hearing the familiar voice, Xiao He did not hesitate at all, and immediately stopped. However, at this moment, Qin Yu was nearly 100 li away from Xiao He. Qin Yu could send a message to Xiao He through holy sense communication, but Xiao He could not send a message to Qin Yu. "Xiao He, at this moment, there are 4 red blood cave protectors who are preparing to rob and kill you. I'm also among them. Remember, immediately rush to the west 10 meters away from me with all your strength. When you see the man in white armor, kill him for me. Remember, rush with all your strength. You must catch them off guard." After Qin Yu finished speaking, Xiao He completely understood. The energy in Xiao He's body surged, and then blood-red lightning flowed on his wings. With a shake of his wings, Xiao He immediately turned into a blood-red lightning, flashing and disappearing in the northwest direction. His speed was simply appalling. The 5 protectors carefully covered their surroundings with their holy sense, and were ready to take action at any time. Qin Yu ran, and Mu Su were at the forefront. Baiyin was 10 meters away from them, and Yezhong was at the back. The 5 protectors did not say a word to each other, because everyone knew that at this moment, the Black Eagle could appear at any time. Coming. Baiyin's voice sounded in their minds through his holy sense. He had reached the middle stage of yuanying, so his holy sense was stronger than the others. However, Baiyin did not know how powerful Qin Yu's holy sense was. As soon as Baiyin's voice sounded in their minds, everyone's holy sense found a blood-red light rushing directly toward them at an extremely fast speed. The speed was so fast that everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Speed was also an indication of strength in one aspect. Qin Yu ran, and Mu Su rushed toward the blood-red light almost at the same time. When Baiyin saw this scene, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. However, in just a moment, the smile on his face froze, because when the blood-red light saw the 3 figures rushing toward it, it turned at an extremely fast speed and attacked Baiyin instead. Besiege it. Baiyin's voice sounded in their minds at the same time through his holy sense. Ran, Qin Yu, and Mu Su, who were originally rushing toward the blood-red light, had been shaken off by the blood-red light. The Black Eagle was so fast that Qin Yu and the other 2 could not stop it at all. The 3 of them immediately turned and rushed toward the Black Eagle again. At this moment, Qin Yu, Mu Su, and Ran rushed toward the Black Eagle side by side, while the Black Eagle rushed toward Baiyin. Yezhong was still behind Baiyin. This was the situation at that time. Logically speaking, the 5 of them should besiege the Black Eagle. However, at this moment, the situation changed because Qin Yu finally made a move. Puff! The flaming gloves appeared on Qin Yu's hands almost instantly. Qin Yu's left hand directly pierced Mu Su's chest, directly crushing Mu Su's heart. Mu Su, who was unprepared, could not defend against Qin Yu's flaming gloves, with his little bit of demonic elemental energy defense. Qin Yu's right hand pierced Ran's back like a sharp arrow. Bang! Ran's hand blocked it, as if she had foreseen it. However, Qin Yu's terrifying strength and the power of the flaming gloves were beyond Ran's imagination. Ran's hand was directly broken with a crack, but Ran borrowed the force to retreat. Oh no! Qin Yu's face changed. Mu Su, whose heart was crushed, stared blankly at Qin Yu with a face full of disbelief. You. Before he could say a word, Mu Su's soul began to be sucked into the cycle of reincarnation. Unfortunately, this Mu Su had not yet reached the Dongxi stage. Once he reached the Dongxi stage, his soul could be integrated into the yuanying. Lu Xing is that cultivator. Ran, whose arm was broken, screamed. At this moment, the Ran's eyes were full of resentment. The arm was broken, and even the bones were completely shattered. It could never be regenerated, unless the Ran could pass the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation and ascend to the upper realm. Baiyin had been preparing for a long time to attack with all his strength. Originally, it was to kill Black Eagle. Now, facing Black Eagle's attack, he could only attack openly. Black Eagle's sharp claws collided with his 2 sharp blades. Pung! The fierce collision did not injure Black Eagle at all, but Baiyin was forced to retreat. Kill Lu Xing! Baiyin screamed loudly, but Yezhong, who was at the back, shouted angrily. Lu Xing! So you are that cultivator. Ran protector, let's kill him together. Protector Baiyin, block that Black Eagle. Baiyin knew Qin Yu's strength, and he also knew the strength of Yezhong and the Ran. He immediately agreed to this proposal. However, at this moment Baiyin's hand, which was hidden behind his back, appeared a transmission token. Almost instantly the transmission token disappeared again. Sangamo, that guy hates cultivators the most. Leave it to him. Baiyin had a hint of a cold smile on his face. He was very fast. Baiyan's hand was hidden behind his back, so Qinyu and Black Eagle did not notice. But Yezhong saw it. Baiyan's body flashed with light, and he suddenly transformed into a 10-meter-long silver prawn. The prawn's shell looked like a rock, and a terrifying aura surged from the prawn's body. With a shake of the prawn's tail, the silver prawn arrived next to Black Eagle. Two enormous pincers pierced towards Black Eagle at high speed. Baiyan attacked Black Eagle, while Yezhong and the Ran simultaneously attacked Qinyu. Qinyu's flaming sword immediately appeared. Qinyu formed a sword seal, and was about to use the illusion development sword art. But at this moment, two scenes happened at almost the same time, leaving Qinyu dumbfounded. The first scene, bang! With a boom, Yezhong's right fist unexpectedly hit the nearby Ran's head. Immediately, Ran's head burst open like a watermelon, and red and white matter splashed out. Yezhong smiled at Qinyu and said, "Protector Lu Xing, this is a gift for surrendering." The second scene, the mid-stage Yuanying silver-shelled prawn's pincers were very powerful and extremely fast. But facing the silver-shelled prawn's attack, Xiaohei flapped his wings and dodged it. The silver-shelled prawn immediately attacked again. However, an ear-piercing shriek came from Xiaohei's mouth. At the same time, Qinyu clearly felt Xiaohei's aura suddenly surged. Facing the silver-shelled prawn's two huge pincers, Xiaohei turned into a black light and rushed directly at the silver-shelled prawn. At the same time, his two ice-cold Black Eagle claws grew 10 times larger in an instant, turning into a pair of blood-red eagle claws. Pooh! Pooh! Like breaking tofu, the mid-stage Yuanying silver-shelled prawn's head was directly crushed by Xiaohei's claw, and it died on the spot. These two scenes happened almost at the same time, and Qinyu was amazed. "Xiaohei, when did you become so powerful?" Qinyu looked at Xiaohei in disbelief. Just now, those blood-red claws had grown 10 times larger, and they were terrifyingly murderous. Their sharpness had also reached a terrifying level. All of a sudden, they directly tore apart the mid-stage Yuanying silver-shelled prawn's defense. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, Qinyu found that Xiaohei had already reached the early stage of Yuanying. 3 years ago, I was already at the late stage of Jindan. Last time I returned to the valley, I had already reached the peak of Jindan. I just recently broke through. Moreover, I can also learn many secret skills from my memory. Just now I also just learned that move," Xiaohei said with a mischievous smile. Although he was only at the early stage of Yuanying, he had inherited memories and practiced forbidden techniques. His actual attacking power was very terrifying. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.